Travel day today for the Buffalo Sabres. They get ready to take on the Senators tomorrow night in Ottawa. And thanks to the win last night and other results around the league, the Sabres can clinch a playoff spot for the first time since the 2010-11 season with a win against the Senators tomorrow night. Paul Hamilton has more up at our website, WGR550.com. There are 3 games tonight across the league. 8:30, the Avs host Vancouver, and then we've got 2 games at 9. Blues at the Kings, and then the Ducks at San Jose. Over in baseball, the Bisons are already underway in Omaha. They are down 2-0 in the 6th. You can listen to the rest of that game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. And Rochester, they are going to get their home opener going today after yesterday's game was postponed due to rain. First pitch versus Scranton is in the next few minutes. While in the majors, the Jays and the Mets are already underway. Toronto leads Colorado 2-0 in the 6th, and the Mets are scoreless versus St. Louis in the 4th. And the Yankees are at the Mariners. First pitch in that game is in about 10 minutes. And then heads up, football fans, Pittsburgh, they are preparing to welcome the nation for the unofficial beginning of the football season. That celebration will begin the night before with an unforgettable invite-only night of music taking place Wednesday, April 22nd at the Rivers Casino Event Center featuring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Profit. Visit Aussie.com/thenightbefore to enter now for your chance to win this national contest. Prizes does include a round-trip airfare, a 2-night hotel stay, and 2 tickets to the show. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
Monday, Tuesday, hump day is halfway. It's Mike Schopp.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
And the Bulldog.
Hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on. I know you can hear me.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Guess what today is?
It's Hump Day.
Woo-hoo!
On WGR.
Hump Day!
Sports Radio 550.
We'll see what we get out of Bulldog. He's over here entranced, apparently, by the rundown of St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famers on SNY right now, the Mets broadcast. Mets at Cardinals.
It ended. You got me back.
Did you have Scott Rowland?
No, I did not. I didn't even really realize what I was watching. I knew I had turned the Met game on, but I hadn't really looked at it. And then I looked up, and there was just, on the screen was a photo with some career stats of Rogers Hornsby.
Yeah.
And then I looked away
He's in.
for a moment or two, and I looked back up, and there was Stan Musial, and then it flipped to someone else, another Cardinal, and I'm like, oh, we're just naming some Cardinals?
We are.
That's what's going on here.
We so were.
Hall of Fame Cardinals. I mean, it's not just any Cardinals.
No, the very best Cardinals.
Right.
Although Hornsby was about the worst person ever to play Major League Baseball at a high level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without killing anybody.
That's a designation, because it seems like, in the very, very, very early days, there were maybe some pretty awful people who played Major League Baseball.
I think my great uncle played for him. I got to look that up again. I think maybe for the Browns. Hornsby was a manager. Maybe not. Maybe that's earlier than my Uncle Cliff. But yeah, Hornsby, not
great, Bob.
not who you want to aspire to be like.
Yeah,
I think. But Roland might be a name that casual baseball fans know, but would not believe is in the Hall of Fame if they don't know the Hall of Fame. I don't really anymore. Although here I am wearing a shirt.
Look at that, National
It's
Baseball
outdated.
Hall of Fame, yeah.
I'm quite sure Scott Rowland's name does not appear, but it's a.
Oh, that's what the small print is on that.
It's
is
the names of all the Hall of Famers.
Wow, isn't that pretty great?
As of 10 years ago, maybe.
All right,
look how nice a fit.
Yeah.
Don't answer that.
I think if you had asked me just, at 3:45 for some reason today, hey, name some Cardinals players who were in the Hall of Fame, I don't know that I would have gotten to Roland. I'm not. So does that mean I have to admit I'm surprised? I mean, I know he had an excellent career, and I actually recall him getting elected into the Hall of Fame. But I don't think I would have thought of him right away. I would have thought of a lot of other guys that showed up on the screen there, older players.
Bob Gibson.
Your Bob Gibsons, your Ozzie Smiths.
Stan Musial.
Sure, that was one that they showed. Yeah. Lou Brock.
You know, when I met Gibson, we can move on here in a minute.
Yeah,
but
sure.
When I met Gibson, one of my favorite stories about meeting him and asking him to sign a jersey at a card show. I'm like, I'm just going to do this. I was at the National, like, I'm just going to do everything there is to do here once. And even though I was not the type ever to do this, I bought an autograph ticket. Like, who do I want? Ricky Henderson. I mean, there were all these guys. I saw Henderson. I almost bumped into him. Like, who do I want? I wanted Gibson. Only jersey that I could buy there, because, of course, they're going to have everybody for all these players who are walking around and signing, was light blue. But he did pitch in the light blue at the end of his career for St. Louis. So at least it counts. So I bought a light blue Gibson jersey, put it down. He lays it out. He's got a female assistant who's just sort of helping him. And I bought the extra. This is what I was there for. I bought the extra inscription. And she asked me, I think it was the woman who asked me, what would you like him to write for the inscription after he signs his name? His big, loopy signature. So cool. I love how long it took him to sign it. And I was hoping that Mr. Gibson would write whatever it is in baseball, whatever accomplishment it is in baseball he was the proudest of. And I think maybe it was again the assistant who said, no, it was Gibson. It was Gibson. It's been like 20 years, right? It was Gibson who said, really, you should pick. Like, he didn't want to have the responsibility of that.
Right.
And I said, well, okay.
Now you're on the spot because you better know something really definitive and cool about Bob Gibson's career.
There are three pretty easy answers. One is the Hall of Fame in the year, HOF apostrophe whatever. I don't know the year, 80 or something. World Series MVP 68.
Okay.
Or his famous ERA from that season. And I think I didn't answer the ERA, but I answered something. Man, this has been a long time since I've been thought about this. And he finished the N on Gibson, moved his marker back to the space underneath the B to start to write the inscription. And he froze and he looked up at me for maybe 5 seconds, just stared at me for 5 seconds, which felt like an hour. And I'm thinking to myself, I am now facing Bob Gibson.
Right. He's waiting for you to tell him what to write, I think, right?
I think I'd already said something. He wasn't waiting for me, because that would have been obnoxious. That would have been like Vrabel with the card.
Okay.
It would have been obnoxious to just sort of wait him out.
Yeah.
There's a line.
Yeah.
But I'd said something, and he's staring at me with his pen down. And he literally said, after a few seconds, I'm thinking.
Okay.
And like, how amazing is that?
Yeah.
He's actually
thinking about what he might be proudest of in his career.
Right.
He's thinking about facilitating your request.
He's either really thinking about that or he's acting. But he doesn't seem the type to be, right? He quit the Globetrotters.
Right.
Like, he's not an actor.
Right.
So he's actually thinking, what would I say to that? Of course he would have been asked that 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
So then he looks back down and he writes 1 dot. And I know.
ERA from that year.
1.12. I know right where that jersey is in a frame in my house. So good. And then now, this is the end of the story. Now I'm feeling it. And like, oh, now we're friends. Because I actually sort of got him going a little bit.
You got his mind working a little bit.
I got his mind working.
Yeah.
At this, probably like just sort of you're numb. You're signing your name all day and having people tell you. The Poznansky book, the chapter on Gibson starts with somebody approaching him at a card show and talking about how mean he thought he was. He's just probably heard it all. Now we're buddies. So as he's finishing up, I said, what do you remember about pitching in Rochester? Like, that's the thing about those Cardinals is like they all played for Rochester. Musial and Gibson, they all played for Rochester. And he said, I'm not sure he even looked up. He said, it was cold. And he said, I remember the Ricketts brothers. There were brothers or even twins, I'm not sure, on those Red Wing teams named Ricketts, Dave and Dick Ricketts. That's the whole story. Why did we? Oh, because the Cardinals
are on. And they were naming some Cardinals.
Yes. Well, thanks for indulging me because I love to tell that story. It's rusty.
It's a good story.
That story needs the battery charged.
You got
because I missed a couple things.
Okay. I felt like you got. I think you did a good job for the audience. I think they got the spirit of the thing.
I think it's all accurate.
It's a good story.
Without maybe a couple details
That's
being
why
perfect.
I'm neither Mr. I never got into collecting like you did, and then again got into it, like a second tour, if that's accurate, and maybe way more deep in. As I never have had that experience, and I've never really been an autograph guy.
No.
But this is why you would bother with, because 90% more, whatever. Go through the line, just get, whatever you want to write on there is fine. Just, to Billy even, like whatever.
To Billy.
I'm just assembly lining through here, but that's a cool little story, and that's a big, famous, intimidating dude from, it's not our sporting past, really. I mean, neither of us were really, cognizant of Bob Gibson's career.
You might have seen him.
I don't remember, but you're right.
I think 75 is his last year.
I'm probably some
not.
Saturday afternoon. Maybe I saw him pitch on a game of the week or something, but I don't remember anything. But still, that's why you that's why you go through the whole process. It's just you might get a really cool story out of it.
Yeah. I have a friend whose wife is related to Brooks Robinson. And he and I were talking once, and he's like, "Oh, whatever you want." Like, well, I happen to have a few jerseys. Maybe a jersey would be amazing to have a Brooks Robinson jersey. And I think I sent him one. And like, what do you want him to write? Like, just, sign his name. Mm-hmm. Wants to throw Hall of Fame, MVP, something like that in there. I'm not sure he won an MVP. Something like that in there. He probably was the 1970 World Series MVP, I'm thinking. Something like that. And so beautiful for my buddy, for Tommy, to follow through. And I opened the package up when it came in the mail, and it says, "To Mike Schopp, Brooks Robinson." Which is fine. It's awesome.
Well, at least he didn't draw like a cartoon middle finger on it or something.
I'm never selling
it. Would
it.
have been pretty awkward.
I'm never selling it. Would you like a Brooks Robinson signed Orioles jersey personalized to Mike Schopp? How much? All right. Well, anyway, the Sabres. So I saw betting odds today. Really, they're all about the playoffs. I don't have odds on like they're actually winning the division, but last night's a great night. Great goal. Tuck to Krebs. Power at the beginning of that. Power has the puck go in off his skate, but some redemption there. Yep. They get the goal. They win the game. Norris is interesting from this game. I wanted to zoom out here, and anybody who wants to jump into this conversation is welcome to. I want some perspective on how unlikely all of this is. I mean, we've compared this season to 2006 many times. Is it more unlikely than 2006? When it was ramping up, you often would ask, the right question to a lot of guests, like the national guests. Did you see it coming? Does it make sense? How have they put now a 100-point team, a 100-point season together? Where did this come from? How did it happen? Jordan Greenway, after the game last night, is with Rob Ray. And Rob asks him some version of this question. How did you do it? And Greenway can't answer the question. He literally can't answer the question. He sort of says a couple different ways, man, that's a tough one. I'd be here a long time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot I could say about this. Yeah. I'm not quoting, but I think Greenway would need to sit down in the room and stretch out and give you his version of what are the players, when they talk about it with each other, assuming they do, what are they saying to each other? What is the players' version of events? I'm just sort of rambling.
I feel like Greenway is a tough guy to ask because he hasn't really been around the team while it's been getting good. He was here before that, so I mean he knows whatever. I'm just saying, like he's an interesting person to ask that question to because the blast off of this team this year occurred almost entirely with him not playing at all.
No, you're right. He hasn't been in the wars, if you will, but he's been
around the organization,
in the group.
That's right.
So they would all be like, or not all. It would be a very interesting range of players who might think on one end, this is unbelievable. I didn't know this was going to be possible. How? I'm not even sure how it happened either. Two, at another end, maybe somebody that is more a different type is like, oh, no, well, we expect to win every game, and this is not surprising at all. I don't know. It's 100 points.
Yeah, it's 100 points, right. My first inclination, when thinking about how unlikely this season is versus, say, 05-06, like you referenced, is to say that while Drury and Briere had already gotten here before the lockout and played, right? I mean, Briere played a little bit of the season before the lockout, didn't he? Like he was
Yes.
acquired, and then the summertime came, and they got Drury, and then they played the 03-04 season and had them here. I remember them trading for Mike Greer maybe at that deadline going into the lockout. So they didn't have a ton of time with him, but like the idea was we're putting a team of winners together here, and I kind of bought that. It was. It was a long time to go. It was a whole season with no games. And I don't remember when they started. I know they didn't get off to a great start in that 05-06 season. So I don't want to rewrite history and say I knew they were going to be good, but I knew I really liked the Briere and Drury showing up and saying, go get Mike Greer. He'll help me run the room. Like, I was buying what they were building.
Two other things to that, if I may just jump in. One is the thing that I remember the most about that transition was everybody decided they had to get rid of Miro.
Right.
And I don't know how true that was or why that was so important.
No, he needed to be exiled.
They had to get rid of Miro, who then would play in playoff series against them for the Islanders and the Bruins.
Yeah.
But they had to get rid of Miro, like sort of reorder things, and they had all this influx of young talent from the minors.
Right. So the thing that's markedly different there is that it was, again, that's why I made the frame of reference, like Drury and Briere were here before the lost season, but it still was a pretty new team. Right, the young guys were all new. Miller's new, Vanek's new, Roy Pominville shows up October, November. Like it wasn't a lock to make the team. He just showed up and then was in the lineup, and then he, had a Sabres Hall of Fame career. So it was a new group. This team, as constituted going into the year, sure, Kesselring showed up, Doan showed up. There were new guys, but it was not a new team. Like the top end of the team was not new. The defense core, again, save for Kesselring and Timmins, I guess, who largely have been irrelevant to this whole thing, right? Zach Metza maybe has been more impactful than either Connor Timmins or Michael Kesselring.
No doubt.
And, who was he? He was, street free agent playing in Rochester. Anyway, this group wasn't new. Tage, Tuck, right? Krebs, Greenway, all these guys were here at least a year, if not more than that. And I think that makes it more surprising that their fortunes, their ability to play in such a way that allowed them to run, just run roughshod up to the top of the conference and 100 points. It's harder for me to have seen it coming than, and I'm trying to be honest about it. I don't think I thought the Sabres were about to be great when 05-06 began. But there was a lot of new there. There was a lot to be excited about, and it took a little while for it to take shape. I think that's less surprising than what happened this year. This year was the same guys, the same team, and then the switch flipped, and they went insane.
There's also neither, in this example, this comparison, neither team had a coaching change, and incredibly, it's the same coach.
Lindy Ruff both times. Yes.
Hockey changes coaches every 5 minutes.
That is pretty amazing.
And it's the same guy.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's not Connie Mack. It's not like he owned the team and made himself coach for life. No.
Speaking of Rogers Hornsby.
Right. Never met Connie Mack, although my ADP chasing brethren probably think we were friends because I'm that old. But 803-0550, 100 points. Well, there's all it's not off the table. Like playoff matchups and lineup stuff. I mean, the Luukkonen gambit worked out. He came through. Metza came through. Like
even killed some penalties or all penalties, whatever. Yep.
It's a good win. So it's not like
For sure,
we can't talk about
that was a hard.
possibilities.
They had to work for that. That was a hard game. I think everything we talked about yesterday regarding the Islanders and the challenge they could present if you run into them in the playoffs, I think you saw last night. It was not like a free-flowing wild game. I mean, the Islanders do a little more of that now that they have Schaefer on their back end, but it's a hard game, and the goalie is excellent. So you got to be pretty buttoned up. I mean, that's a team to me. If you're going to win against them, you probably need a power play goal or two, and they got a couple last night. And because the goalie 5-on-5 is just going to be tough.
Well, how unlikely is it? Great points. I mean, the team being largely the same a year after last year's disaster without a coaching change. What's the biggest move they made last year to this year? I mean, Paterka for Kesselring and Doan, and, felt more like a subtraction than an addition.
Yeah, for sure. And especially, looking at it now, like Kesselring has had zero impact on their season. Doan, I think, sort of helped change their whole vibe with how hard he works and just how tenacious he is. Like, I think maybe he is someone I would look to, so it's not entirely the same group. Like I think they were malleable enough to have him have an impact on them, like how he plays, because what they're doing now defensively, top to bottom in the lineup most nights, is, to me, a Doan impact. Because he showed up doing that right away, and he didn't have a lot of company when the season began, but eventually it caught on, and that to me is the single biggest. It speaks so directly to how important maximum effort is in that sport. I mean, you got to have the high end talent. You better have a goalie, right? All the stuff that you probably want to have, but you can have all of those things. The Sabres, a lot of these years, have had a healthy portion. That's what's so crazy about how static most of the roster has been. I think it just points to directly, we are going to try extra hard. That's it. Anybody who's been yelling for them to try harder, I think should be flying a flag, because defensively, that's all defense is. I mean, it's, positioning and knowing the system and all this stuff, but you got to just want to do it. You got to want to do it in a way that won't let your teammates down. And if that peer pressure exists, then I think you're on the right track. And I really think Doan helped create that peer pressure, even though he was a new guy. So he's important. And so I don't want to just gloss over the significant roster changes that were made. But again, it's not like there was a half a dozen new impactful guys here.
Well, that's all true. You still have to have the talent, and defensively they do, and top end they do. Like Thompson scoring 40 goals, again, is like you can't just win with effort alone.
Right, that's right.
So there had to be some internal confidence that, like, we can actually do it. I mean, how they play, the confidence, I think, is a part of this. Because I think, well, I should defer to any hockey player on this point, but what it looks like to me is this team, take the winning goal last night as a great example of it. This team is willing to go at any point. Like they will fire. 06 was that too. They will just fire from anywhere. I don't mean shoot. I don't mean the boring, lazy, just pucks on the net. I mean, I hate pucks on the net. I'm hearing that again last night. How about make a play? How did they score their goals? Good thing Tuck didn't just dump a backhand on Sorokin. I mean, no. That team was better than that, and this team is better than that. And the full length of the ice attack mode mentality is, I mean, maybe you just can't pull that off if you don't believe. Because, again, I want to defer to players that split second of hesitation you might have if you just don't believe that this is actually how we should do this. It kills it. And there are so many moments, highlights from this season that come from that. Like, go. And it's so much fun to watch, too. Well, 100 points. 803-0550. How do they do it? where does this rank on just like Buffalo sports, the unlikely meter? Is this more like shocking than Josh Allen? Maybe. Like Allen is a 7th overall pick. Like it was always possible he would be great.
Yeah.
And he is. Is this really more shocking than that? I don't know how to answer that, but that's the kind of mood I'm in.
I think I would want to say yes. But I mean, whatever. That's an opinion. I don't have a real way to measure that.
Hard one.
But I think this is the most surprising season in Buffalo sports history.
Okay, well, let me sit with that.
I think what has happened here is shocking.
They have points in 39 of their last 46 games. 23 of their last 27. Lines are open for your calls. Chris Trapasso on the NFL Draft coming up at 4. Pretty open today. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Thanks for listening. This is WGR.
didn't see the train coming, which was the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens, and how strong those two teams are, along with the likes of Detroit and Ottawa. Boston, with a strong spine, have been able to retool, and Florida and Tampa are always strong. But Buffalo and Montreal have shown that young, energetic team, they're going to be here for a long time.
None other than the president of the Leafs, Keith Pelly, among those who are willing to admit, yeah, I had no indication that the Sabres would be this good. And the Canadians, as it happens, from those comments. That's what I think. Like, I'm not a season ticket holder anymore. I went to the Boston game. I'll be there Monday, and also Dallas. Like, I'm excited to go to a few games here and get a reminder of what it can be like. I mean, it's hot. I went to the Montreal game. We lost, and that was also a super energetic crowd. It's really fun. I think in the day, what it would be like, I would leave my seats in 117, meet friends. We always had like 2 or 3 other couples and friends we would be with there, would share tickets, and we'd all congregate. There was a beer vendor named Oscar. Raise your hand if you remember Oscar.
I remember Oscar.
Also worked at the Bisons, who would sort of camp out. It's so different now. Now there's not even people working. It's just sort of a kiosk.
Right.
But like, we would talk to him like, this is pretty good, you know, and we would all sort of ask each other, how? Wow, this is amazing. How did they do it, you know? And I think that's got to be the conversation fans are having now with their friends in the building between periods, you know, just like, this is surreal. And so as we talk now, that's what, you know, we're talking about. 803-0550 is the number. And, you know, I like this because how they do in the playoffs, or even the next 7 games where they finish and how they do in the playoffs, can wait. I mean, it's not going to change what's happened already. They've had an incredible season. They lose. And that, you know, will suck, but it doesn't really mar what's happened already and the story that we're talking about, which is that they went from the dregs and an irrelevant bottom feeder franchise for more than a decade to this. I think that deserves some reflection.
Yeah, I agree. And when the playoffs will get here soon enough, and once they start, it'll be just all about that. Once the bracket starts coming into shape, if it does at all, like maybe it won't. Maybe we'll be waiting until the Chicago game and the Dallas game and everybody else playing their games to really know who's locked in where and who we're dealing with. And then it'll all become – the fact that this season was incredible will sort of get left by the curb, and it'll be about how they do in the playoffs. And I think what I feel like you're saying over there, if I'm not – I don't mean to just – like, it needs to be rephrased, but like – let's make sure we appreciate what has happened here, because we did not see it coming, and it has not been fluky. It's weird that it happened like it's happened, but it's real, and it's pretty incredible that they have become this team from last place. I mean, they are the Blues from 2019.
So far.
They weren't in last place as late in the year. I think St. Louis was last place like at the new year. So they really waited until, you know.
And they didn't get to any top seed either.
That's right. They came from
They got in.
They got in and they were, yeah, that is right. I want to check to make sure where they were, but that's right. They did not go to the top of the conference.
Right. The Sabres started earlier. Here's Brendan with us. Hi, Brendan.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure thing, man.
I just wanted to say there's a couple things. I think the psyche of the team changed when Adams got fired. They had the talent, but they didn't think that anything was going to change until he got fired, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, it's getting serious here. And they looked in the room and said, hey, we got to make a change and we got to step it up. And then, there's a small difference between guys who are at that level between being, productive and successful and not, because of their attitude. And I think that really changed, and because of Adams being fired. And even though they may have liked him, but something changed, and that propelled them as well. And the other thing I just want to say is I'm happy for guys like Darlene and Tage and the guys who've been around for the dregs of the seasons before, to see the fans and the support and the electricity in the building from the winning. Something that the Bills have experienced, and it's similar along the same arc. And I'm just happy for them to know that Buffalo is really a good hockey town.
Well put. I like it for them. I like it for us. Because a lot of these guys, think of Eichel maybe, who just did not get a taste of what this can be like when it's good. And might have been bitter about that. I don't know. Some of those guys, some hockey players are going to be bitter about it, be mad at the fans. I'm sure there was a lot of that. Just like, where's the support? You guys are so negative.
Right.
You hate us.
Right, we're getting booed off the ice here.
Yeah, but we want to win for you.
Half-empty building.
Like,
it was
better to not be bitter.
It was a really bad scene. I like doesn't have to be the first guy through today, but I like any fan that wants to recognize that those guys, sure, they're more than handsomely paid. I mean, they're worldly rich. Good, nice life, but playing on a team that was as stuck as they were, as much as they bear some responsibility for it, I mean, it just has to be the worst. Getting laughed at all the time. Your peers all think you're a joke. Guys leave the organization and are winning trophies right away. They, as soon as they get free of you, and like you're just, it's very hard to not feel stuck here, But my biggest beef with Kevin Adams saying the thing about the palm trees and the taxes wasn't that it was inaccurate. It was just that saying it is, to me, it's not a leap to say you're basically telling the guys who are here they're stuck. No one's coming to help you. I can't get anyone to come help you. If I could, I would. I'd replace some of you with better guys, but they won't come. I mean, what kind of respect are you going to have for your boss if that's how you think he views you, or how he views even the entire organization, the entire operation? I can't do any better than this. I mean, that is futility personified. And any notion that, sure, does he deserve credit for the moves that were made? Absolutely. He made them. There's no arguing it. But if you think his being removed and them blasting off is just a coincidence, I don't know. I don't know what I could do to convince you otherwise. I just think it's too obvious of a coincidence to me to ignore. I think it is the single biggest factor. A credible, professional, experienced guy walked in the room and said, "You guys are better than this." And they went, "Yeah, you're probably right." And then they are. That's it. None of this happens with Adam still at the helm, I don't think.
Thanks, Brendan. Dan is next. Hello, Dan.
Hey, regarding the turnaround for the Sabres, compared to previous years, it just seems like they have so many just better and just complete hockey players as the guys that can just shoot the puck. Maybe this was and I think you might be seeing the development of some of these other guys like Krebs and Doan and Benson, as opposed to guys like Peterka and Olofsson and guys that really were just known for those goals, just kind of shooting the puck. But also regarding their kind of superpower of their top four defensemen, being able to kind of get into the offensive plays, I don't think it can be understated how many good, fast, and just good defensive forwards they have to be able to make that happen. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. Yeah, good points. Yeah, I like if please forgive me for this. I think about the build of the Sabres a little bit like some of my fantasy leagues, where you kind of want to sort of stick to a certain strategy, get the best players available, whatever. There's a list of things you could think of as important points. But then I think the best players, and this can be fantasy or this can be real sports, look at the whole board, look at the league, and try to find an area where they can capitalize, zag when they're zigging, if you will. And again, 2006, that is what happened. I mean, pretty high up on the essay about what that season was that the Sabres figured out up-tempo and depth and rolling four lines, and not playing, fighters. Just like, let's just kill you with skill. And, oh, wow, what a great idea. It seems like a pretty simple concept. But the build of, this goes back, of course, to Adams and maybe even before that, thinking of, they drafted Dahlin because they had to. I mean, they wanted to. They probably loved it.
There's just no question of who you were going to pick, right?
Right. So maybe if they're picking later, it's like, all right, forward, defenseman, what do we want to do? Dahlin is like, here. And Power pretty much was the same. Not exactly, not 100%, but maybe 95%.
Yeah, he was unquestionably the top guy, but he wasn't so, he wasn't thought of like Dahlin that you could have done something else there if you really wanted to.
Right. So the lottery helped dictate how the Sabres were going to be built. Like they were going to have those. I mean, Dahlin had to sign and stay, but if you sort of get it that we're giving you these players. All right. Well, boy. I mean, I'm sure before Owen Power was drafted, we went, are we sure we want another defenseman at 101? I mean,
yes.
But he was the guy. And then you had Samuelson, and Middlestat for Byram is interesting for this because I would think that the questions were, well, that's another defenseman. Do you want to make a core piece? I mean, you might prefer to trade Middlestat for a forward, but they didn't. And now look at you. Now, like, all right, well, if this was a strategy, okay, maybe this was just sort of like where we ended up. Not a strategy, but now we have Samuelson signs, Dahlin, Power, Byram. This is like and then you have Thompson scoring a goal every other game. This is kind of how we have to build it. And, here we are. So it's some luck, it's some design. This year they're getting saves. Defense helps, but they're also getting saves.
That's right. That always matters.
Can't be ignored.
Right.
There's all kinds of it's romantic to talk about all the how it's all happened like this, but there's a lot of luck in how many saves you get. A few pucks over the last 2 months that go in on you, and we're scrambling. Same team, same everything, but we're scrambling. There is separation now. Last night this came really to light with the teams that lost. Ottawa.
Yeah.
Like right now, hopefully nobody's talking about getting in anymore.
Right. I mostly wasn't thinking about what the magic number was, what night might the drought officially end, because it just felt like it was way off still. But now it so happens that tomorrow night could be that night because every result went your way last night.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 803-0550. We'll pivot to the NFL draft. Chris Trapasso makes his weekly appearance with us coming up at 4. This is WGR. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, Chris Trapasso, joins us at 4 for our regular chat with him about the upcoming NFL draft. 3 weeks and 1 day. We're that close. Bulldog and I are sitting with Mets Cardinals here in the Just Call Jed studio. 1-0 Mets, bottom of the 6th. Sparse crowd in St. Louis. This reminds me, my wife and I were watching the hockey game, and I said, I got one for you. I think I like the Islanders' uniforms. Never really thought about their jersey, but I think I like it a lot. And then we started talking about the Mets.
Colors are similar.
Blue and orange.
Yep.
And I'm sure that's not a coincidence.
Right.
And I said to my wife, I went into mansplain mode.
Ooh.
Do you know why the Mets are blue and orange? And she said, yes, because of the Brooklyn Dodgers and New York Giants. Like, just no hesitation.
She did know that. That's a really great job.
It was so hot.
Yeah.
She did know that.
I've known that, but I wasn't ready to give you that answer.
Yeah. Well, I got one for you. I got a tougher one for you.
Really good.
So the Mets are 1962, and the Islanders are late 60s, right? Expansion?
Oh, I think it's later than that.
Early 70s?
Yeah, they're after the Sabres.
Okay.
Yeah, they and the Capitals came in together.
Okay. And they wear blue and orange probably because the Mets do.
I think that's probably right. Yeah.
Do you know, this is a good one, everybody. I just learned this recently. Do you know why the Jets wear green and white? Because the Jets changed their colors when they were sold in their AFL years from Wismer to Werblin. And they wore maybe blue and yellow before Werblin, and he changed it to green and white. Not blue and orange.
Like
even though that's Mets, Jets, Islanders, Knicks.
Right.
Right?
I don't know why they wear green and white.
Knicks are probably Yankees too, but they're blue and orange.
Yep.
The Jets wear green and white because Sonny Werblin, who bought them in the 1963 or 4, and made them. I mean, he made the Jets. Wismer was like a dolt. And Werblin showed up. He had all these Hollywood contacts. He spent money. He just sort of huge figure in the history, the growth of the AFL. Mm-hmm. He was born on St. Patrick's Day.
All right.
And he changed their uniforms to green and white to celebrate his own birthday. That's why the Jets wear green and white.
I don't share your affinity for the Islander uniform. And it's not just because I blindly hate them, because I would tell you one of my favorite uniforms in all of hockey is the Flyers uniform. Mm-hmm. The Flyer orange, I think, is so distinctive, and there's not a team I've hated more in my lifetime than the Flyers.
Any sport.
But objectively, I think their uniform is, it's part of what I hate about them, and that makes it a great uniform, if that makes sense. It's so identifiable, and I think, there's just not a lot of teams that their primary color is orange, right? So it totally works for me. Yeah, it's classic. Now that they had that dalliance with the fisherman thing that was kind of weird. It's classy. I'll give them that, but I'm not going to get to why I like it.
Okay,
I just can't.
Well, they did change it, as you said. But it's been most of their history. They look a lot like they looked last night.
And the colors really, they had a couple different blues mixed in with that fisherman thing, but it's really been the same colors.
Right. Chris Trapasso on the draft next here on WGR.
Travel day today for the Buffalo Sabres as they do get ready to take on the Senators tomorrow night in Ottawa. With a win last night and some other results around the league, the Sabres can clinch a playoff spot for the first time since the 2010-11 season with a win against the Senators tomorrow night. And then also today, the Sabres did announce they have signed 2023 second-round pick defenseman Maxim Strbek to a 3-year entry-level deal. Strbek did have 18 points in 37 games this season with Michigan State, and he's going to be reporting to Rochester. Around the league, there are 3 games tonight. 8:30, the Avs host Vancouver. And then we've got 2 games at 9. The Blues at the Kings and the Ducks at San Jose. And then over in baseball, the Bisons fall to Omaha 3-0, while the Rochester Red Wings, they will have their home opener today after yesterday's game was postponed due to rain. First pitch versus Scranton in the next few minutes. While in the majors, the Yankees and the Mariners also will be getting underway here in about 10 minutes. And then we've also got some games currently going on right now. Toronto and the Rockies are tied at 1 in the bottom of the 9th, while the Mets, they are also tied at 1 apiece. They are taking on St. Louis. That game is heading into the 7th. And then heads up, football fans, as Pittsburgh prepares to welcome the nation to the unofficial beginning of the football season. The celebration will begin the night before with an unforgettable invite-only night of music taking place Wednesday, April 22nd at the Rivers Casino Event Center featuring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Prophet. Visit Odyssey.com/thenightbefore to enter now for your chance to win this national contest. Prizes include round-trip airfare, a 2-night hotel stay, and 2 tickets to the show. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western Oaks, a voice of the fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
You know, I gotta wonder what kind of working relationship you'd have with Satan.
It's Mike Schopp.
I've often wondered that.
Like he, they, I don't know what his pronouns are, or their pronoun. Anyway, Satan.
And the Bulldog.
What's the upside of doing well?
Well, maybe they're too busy making everyone else's life hell.
Oh, boy.
And
wow.
you might just be able to do your own thing if you're partnered with Satan.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
They're too busy, making Scott Norwood miss field goals.
Oh, come on.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
Today is April 1st. The NFL Draft gets going on Thursday night, the 23rd, from Pittsburgh. What will Pittsburgh do? Well, I saw one, Eric Edholm did it. It was different. He did 5 trades I'd like to see, like last week, and only one of them involved a player. I'm a Barnwell fan, and Barnwell will always have these. Like he does the whole first round. Or,
every pick is traded.
Every pick is traded. I love that column. And Eric's was, all right, here are 5 trades I'd like to see. Here's number 1. There was a player involved. The next 4 were all just draft picks. All right. Interesting. And one of them was Pittsburgh moving to pick 32 because they're hosting.
Right. They don't have a first-round pick.
I don't know that.
Oh.
Does Chris know? Does Pittsburgh?
Wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know why.
No, they do.
They do. Yeah, I'm sorry.
A few teams don't, but the Steelers do. They pick 21.
Yeah.
But one more for the road. How about? That was the point.
I see. Okay. I thought it was to make sure they had a pick at all. Okay.
Buzz about it because these prospects are not these blue chippers that we normally see. I mean, Mendoza's going to go 1. I think number 2 to the Jets is probably Arvel Reese. I think they would be making a mistake picking him over David Bailey. Bailey's older and maybe doesn't have as much upside, but is a much more polished player and just was more productive in a defined edge rusher role. Arizona at 3, I think, is a little bit of a wild card, but it does feel like the other Ohio State linebacker, Sonny Styles, feels like the guy that is mostly mocked there. I'm sure you guys have looked at more mocks than I have. I'm trying to stay away from mock drafts this year because I did 1,000 of them the last 10 years at CBS.
Do you miss it?
No, not one bit.
Interesting.
Tennessee, Jeremiah Love, and then the Giants. I'm not totally sure where they would ultimately land with Jim Harbaugh. They probably want offensive line to help Jackson Dart. So I think it's reasonably solidified. There's just, again, kind of sort of like last year, but even to a greater degree, there's just not the buzz because the talent is not where it normally is inside that top 5.
How do you like that, Bulldog? All these years talking to Chris, year after
new
year,
mock
week
draft
after
just
week.
dropped.
New mock draft. Behind the music, he hated it.
I mean, I didn't hate talking about it, but doing one per week from September through April, would by the time that I should be getting excited about it in that time period, I was sick of them. You know what I mean? By March or April, I had done like 40 of them.
Sure, makes sense. Well, I mean, Arvell Reese at 2. There's also Sonny Styles, who you mentioned. 2 linebackers from Ohio State could end up being both in the top 3, I guess.
They could, yeah.
And
totally.
then,
and I think with Reese, just very quickly with Reese, there's a lot of the comparisons to Micah Parsons because he was off-ball linebacker that rushed off the edge, and the production, if you're just looking at pressures and pressure rate, you're like, oh, wow, he was like Micah Parsons 2.0. When you watch the film, Micah Parsons, I remember writing a few times in my scouting reports, like, this guy can beat offensive linemen with pass rush moves, with a bull rush, with 50 different ways. Arvell Reese was getting a lot of those pressures on stunts or on like blitzes when he had a free run at the quarterback. He is not, to me, the level of pass rushing prospect that Micah Parsons is, but he's young, Ohio State, certainly versatile and tested through the roof. So yeah, I think it's a reasonable possibility that 2 of the first 3 picks are from Ohio State.
How valuable is a non-edge rushing linebacker, like a regular linebacker, like a Terrell Bernard, or Jack Campbell is a good example because that was a first-round pick with Detroit the same year they took Gibbs, right? Is there – I think the Bills might be in the market for that at some point. I mean, I don't know that you got to do it at 26. You tell us. But is there somebody that plays like that is going to be picked really high? Is there like a hot shot, can't miss interior type linebacker?
To me, there's not. I think, I really like Caleb Alarms-Orr from TCU, who's not a big buzzed about name. He reminds me so much of Quincy Williams, who the Bills certainly know well from his time with the Jets. Just that hair on fire, explosive linebacker, good in coverage, reliable tackler. It feels like the buzz for him is more day 2 than in the first round. But if a team picked him in the first round, like if the Bills, for as much as we've talked edge and certainly wide receiver, if the Bills picked him and just said, hey, we're plugging him in at one of the off-ball linebacker spots, I would be fine with it. Other than that, the other name would probably be C.J. Allen, who would get tossed around and you've probably seen in some mocks to the Bills. He's younger but experienced. He has the pedigree coming from Georgia. I think he is can be a really good player in time. I just hesitate, and probably why we don't see part of the reason why we don't see a lot of off-ball linebackers go in the first round. They're so green in coverage. Like, it is very rare to see someone that is ready to be a 3-down player and not get exploited in coverage. I think of some other first-round linebackers, Jordan Brooks, Kenneth Murray, that were first-round picks, Rashaan Evans from Alabama. First-rounders, all picked somewhere in that 20 to 32 range, looked the part, were sculpted, tested really well, tons of tackles, 100-plus tackles, but they all have not been very good in the NFL, especially relative to where they were picked because they're not great in coverage. So Allen, I think, showed some signs, and he's reasonably athletic, and he's a great tackler. He's not going to miss a lot in terms of the reading the play. But those 2, to me, are the most interesting in terms of off-ball linebackers. And lastly, I don't think we see a lot of linebackers go in the first round because, and I don't know if we talked about this yet, the discrepancy, like the surplus value that you get from having a first-round player at edge, certainly quarterback, or wide receiver is huge. The top of the market is now, at wide receiver, $42 million a year. Linebacker, Fred Warner is the highest paid linebacker in terms of average per year at only $21 million per year. So I do think that does factor in, maybe more from the numbers side and the financial people talking to the GMs like, hey, if you draft this guy and he's good, you're not getting that much surplus value relative to, the last 3 years, what the Seahawks got value-wise for JSN before they had to give him that big extension.
Interesting. Good. The name Kenneth Murray rings a bell, and red lights flash for me. Not that I'm not the Greg Cosell of linebacker intel, but I know he was a pretty hot item when the Chargers drafted him in the first round, and he's on his 3rd team at least. Still pretty young. The last 2 players, Chris, I've seen mocked to the Bills are both named Emmanuel, but they're different players. Emmanuel McNeil Warren seems to be trending up, a safety out of Toledo, and I could buy that the Bills would spend pick 26 on a safety. And then Emmanuel Pregnon, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, a guard from Oregon. That'd be fun to talk about. So do you have takes on these two Emmanuels?
Yeah, so Emmanuel McNeil Warren, I feel like we talked about him early in the process here before the Bills signed Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, obviously Geno Stone to kind of be the setting the floor at like in the safety room. McNeil Warren, I have him comped to a skinnier version of Jeremy Chin, who was kind of, I remember wanting the Bills to draft him in 2020. He's been kind of rumored over the last couple of years in free agency. He's been a really good player and is that Nick Worry of the MAC the last couple of seasons where he can be you're technically in nickel or in dime all the time, but it doesn't matter because he's big. He's 6 foot, over 200 pounds, or 6'3", over 200 pounds, freaky athlete, and made so many splash plays at Toledo. Now, it was the MAC, so I think that's probably why he could and probably will still be there. Very, very interesting player. And then with Pregnon, he's actually my number one interior offensive lineman. I know the Vega Awani from Penn State, I know we probably haven't talked guards much. He's like the consensus top guard, but to me, Pregnon is awesome in that he is more athletic than Awani is. He has a little bit more length to his game, and I think he's just a better run blocker and pass protector right now. I think with Awani in time, a lot of the other people that I've talked to in the industry are like, oh, he could be like a Quentin Nelson in time. He's really big and strong and wide. But Pregnon, I wouldn't say that's a huge need, but if they don't feel like, hey, we're just going to roll the dice with Austin Corbett and with Alec Anderson at that left guard spot that's vacated by David Edwards, then if he's just the best guy available and they can't find a trade down partner because no one wants to trade up, Pregnon might just be like the best player on the board and would really, like, he is a pro-ready blocker. When you watch his film at Oregon, really, really clean.
One thing that I think could, obviously, would create a need if you made a trade, Osiris Torrance is going into year 4. Like, he's eligible for an extension now. And that probably is significant, whether it's top of the market or not, like if he gets to free agency, or even if you wanted to try to head him off. I don't know how near the top, maybe you can give us some opinion about whether you would invest in Osiris Torrance. But if the Bills don't like the price tag of that, if you could do all right moving him, if there were a market for him, then I think I would maybe listen to drafting a guard at 26.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think it's important, especially as we're starting draft month, to think about and lay out all the potential possibilities, because that certainly is one that I think at this point Torrance has played well enough to maybe earn consideration for an extension, but I don't think he's really improved from his rookie season.
Right.
In and of itself, the rookie year in 23 was like, okay, build from here. The last 2 seasons, I haven't seen someone that's gotten significantly better. So, no, I don't think it would be close to a top-of-market deal. And we do obviously know that Brandon Beane likes to get these extensions done relatively early before those players can hit the market. And a lot of the guys like the Terrell Bernards and Christian Benfords and even Greg Rousseau, like, it seems to be like there's a reasonable understanding with Beane and a lot of these players and their agents. Like, look, you're a good player. You could test and try to get top 5 money, but you can also just have the job security now a year early before an injury. So I think keeping someone like Osiris Torrance is probably not the worst idea. But do I think the Bills should even approach like top 10 money at the guard position? Not necessarily. Now, again, maybe that possibility presents itself where all the receivers are gone, the edge rushers aren't there, you can't trade back, and you just say, look, we're going to draft the best available player. That offensive line, and talk about shelf life, it's the opposite of running backs. You can have that guy on your roster like the Bills have seen with like a Deion Dawkins for like 10 years. And I really think that Pregnon can be good right now, and there's room for him to get better, even though he is a little bit of an older prospect. So I think that is something that maybe is kind of in the back of the Bills' minds going into draft weekend, because I think it's not really flashy. it's a very, very good interior offensive line class, both at center and at guard.
Chris Trapasso, draftgradebook.com. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Chris joins us Wednesdays leading up to the NFL Draft, which opens first round in Pittsburgh April 23rd. All right, well, we've covered players we have never talked about. Let's talk wide receivers. What's your latest number? Got to do it. What's your latest number of receivers going in round one? I'm thinking it might be, give or take one, like 5.
So I'll say that's maybe not the best question to ask me because I've taken this hiatus from mock drafts. If this was a year ago, I would certainly be able to answer that really well.
That's fair.
I think anywhere between 4 and 6. It wouldn't surprise me either way, which I guess is kind of, hedging on both sides, but that if we get to like pick 13, 14, 15 and we're like, oh, like a receiver hasn't gone yet, or like only one has gone, because I think for as much as it's a very flashy position, seemingly a lot of teams need them and want more of them, I think the general consensus from a few people that I've talked to in the scouting world are like, yeah, they're good. Like Mekhi Lemon, very good. He has a nice profile, very much like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like Carnell Tate, same thing, but only one major year of production at Ohio State and didn't test through the roof. Jordan Tyson, breakout year at age 18 at Arizona State. The hamstrings are a concern. Casey Concepcion, I love him. A lot of people do like him, but the drops are a concern. So everyone of the perceived top 3 or 4 are not necessarily perfect prospects or don't emphatically check all of the boxes. So I think those 4, and then maybe Omar Cooper could be that 5th player at the wide receiver spot, which has kind of become par for the course that we normally have between 4 and 6 receivers. Sometimes, like in the Keon Coleman year, what was it, 6 or 7 that could ultimately go in the first round?
Yeah, Coleman was wide receiver 8 at pick 33.
8
so
with
7 in the first round is correct.
Where are you on Tyson? I know we've talked about him before. He's one of the most highly rated, and kind of there's a lot of debate about him because of the injury thing. Like, where do you land on him? Like, if he let's say like there's enough concern about the injury stuff with him that he doesn't go early and it gets to be where you're 15, 20, like the Bills are within striking distance and he's still there. Now there'd be other receivers there, but like is there a moment where it becomes okay, cost benefit analysis, the ceiling is so high, if he does stay healthy, you should make a move, or is he like a no-fly zone entirely for you?
No, he is not a no-fly zone for me. He's not in the Keon Coleman range where he was in 2024. And I'll kind of set the scene for this answer with 2 things. Number one, Jordan Tyson right now is my number 28 overall player. So I think he's right in that striking distance of the Bills. And my range comparisons for him go from Jacoby Myers to Keenan Allen. Like, he's that type of fluid, inside, outside, savvy route runner, but not going to give you much after the catch at all. Going to catch pretty much everything. Will make the difficult grabs. Will make the diving catches at his feet. Will not have a lot of drops, and is just not someone that you're going to push the ball vertically down the field with. So he's someone that if these hamstring injuries that he's had and the fact that he couldn't work out in the combine or the Arizona State Pro Day, if that's why he's either available at 26 or gets close enough to the Bills where they're like, man, this is a young prospect that was the number 1 guy at 18 years old at Arizona State. Even though I think he's technically my wide receiver 5, I would be totally fine with him because of the position and because what I think Bulldog and I have kind of agreed on, I think you too, Mike, the separation ability is so vital, I think, to this Bills wide receiver group, and he absolutely brings that. He has, I don't want to say Justin Jefferson's ability, but he has like that kind of style of Justin Jefferson where he's very flexible and can use some of that bendiness and explosion to get open at all 3 levels of the field.
Chris, what do you think the Seahawks should be hoping for at 32? Is that a team that, like a Super Bowl winner can do whatever it wants? Is there any bad idea for Seattle? I'm thinking about CEH. We talk about, the fantasy stuff on ADP chasing last night, and maybe that's a team that thinks it has the luxury, if you will, to do that, whether that's Jadarian Price or someone else, or maybe a receiver. Like, I feel like the Seahawks they just hit the jackpot on defense and in, offensive line too in last year's draft. At the same time, I kind of think that their skill position, sets are not perfect. They let Kenneth Walker leave, but also, they're really good. So what do you like for them?
I think edge rusher. I think losing Boye Mafe and the fact that they're looking at DeMarcus Lawrence, Uchenna Nwosu as kind of their primary rush defensive ends that are both up there in age at this point. I know Leonard Williams is great on the interior as kind of that 3-4 defensive end. Byron Murphy's there, but even like Jaron Reed, who's up into his 30s at defensive tackle. I think up front for that team, it's kind of been going from Pete Carroll now to Mike McDonald. I think with the same GM, John Schneider, when they've been really good in getting to Super Bowls and winning Super Bowls, they've been really just super deep, like we saw in the Super Bowl, and ferocious along the defensive line. So I agree, like the skill positions are not great outside of the reigning offensive player of the year in JSN. So if they went wide receiver, I wouldn't think that's crazy either. I'm not the biggest believer, though, that they should go running back just because of the obvious Ken Walker situation. I think they could draft one later, and that's also what's baked into that is I don't love this running back class outside of Jeremiah Love, which I think we talked about, and I think going edge rusher or wide receiver would make more sense for them too.
It will be interesting who they line up week one, though, because Charbonnet's coming off a torn ACL. That happened maybe in the playoffs. So they signed Emmanuel Wilson from Green Bay. Like, is he week one starter or is a day two rookie their week one starter? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Did you mention Jeremiah Love when we were talking top five? He's another
I did.
You did.
It seems like, that's almost the second most telegraphed pairing beyond Mendoza going to the Raiders, that the Tennessee Titans, just with a little bit of what they've built and Cam Ward coming into his second season, that they just have a glaring, I guess to some people have a glaring need at running back or having that feature back. And Jeremiah Love is, I think, up there in that rarefied air of like the Bijan and the Jahmyr Gibbs in terms of he can be your home run hitter, you can throw him the football, and he can be a 1,200-yard running back that catches 40, 50 passes and be a 1,500-plus yards from scrimmage player on his rookie deal.
That's we were talking about him last night too. Has any franchise ever needed like a star at a skill position like the Titans?
Tennessee, yeah.
With Daboll there now.
Did we learn anything at Indiana's pro day today about Mendoza or anybody else who took part?
Cooper,
I guess.
D'Angelo Pons, that tiny corner that was just all over the football like all season. He's like 5'9", 165. Plays a lot bigger and is incredibly twitchy. He ran 4.31, and I believe he ran somewhere in the low 4.3s at the combine too, which is pretty unusual for a guy to have. Or no, he didn't run at the combine. He had a 43.5-inch vertical at the combine, so he showed like, wow, super explosive. Did not run there, then ran 4.31 today, and is someone that, to me, we were just talking Seahawks and we're talking Bills. Like, he is right in there between Devin Witherspoon and Antoine Winfield Sr. Like, he is that type of small, super feisty, pesky player. I didn't see what the wide receivers, if Cooper or Surratt ran. I think it was just going on this afternoon. And apparently Mendoza threw the ball on air really well, which should come as no surprise.
Right. Yeah, I saw like 63 for 66 with 3 drops or something is what I saw. So
Tecmo.
Yeah, I'm asking you what happened, but I knew that stat because I did see that.
That takes me back to like Madden on easy.
Right.
Just going to throw every play, see if I can get to 100. All right, Chris, thanks for your time as always. How's the site going?
It's going really well. I'm seeing a little uptick in traffic, obviously, which is just, I think, aligning with it being draft season. And if you go to the site now, I have a draft day mode preview, which is like the homepage where I will have from the 23rd through the 25th, all 3 days of the draft, like a draft tracker, best available, team hubs where you can like click on the Bills picks and see all their selections to get scouting reports there. Biggest reaches will be outlined, biggest steals. So I'm trying to show just to kind of celebrate the start of draft month, a look at what draft day mode will look like at the end of April.
Yeah, that's cool. I came across that earlier this morning and tweeted it out to promote that you were going to be on with us. So maybe I'll give it a bump now
thank
too,
you.
because I think that's a really cool thing to for any fans to just follow along with if they're a fan of your work. That's a really cool thing to do on draft night, I think. So.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Chris. Talk to you next week.
Okay, see ya. Bye.
Chris Trapasso. What's our hockey schedule next week? Monday is Tampa.
Wednesday Rangers, Thursday Columbus at home, right? I think the Ranger game is in New York, Columbus at home on Thursday, and then I don't know what after that.
Chicago, Dallas.
Oh, that's it. Then Saturday, what is it, Saturday, Chicago?
No, it's the following week,
Okay.
The 13th.
All right.
Let's see. Carry the one. Monday.
Yeah, okay. Wow, they've got that. They've got the last. Well, yeah, the last weekend of the season they have off.
Yeah, 3 days off.
Yeah. All right.
Monday at Chicago the 13th. Dallas here Wednesday the 15th. That's
right.
it.
That's right. Yep.
They could clinch as soon as their next game Thursday night in Ottawa.
Yep.
Your thoughts, as we talked about in the first hour, on how this all actually happened. And Bulldog went as far as to say the most unlikely season in Buffalo sports history. Okay. 803-0550 to join us. We're open the rest of the day. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Travel day for the Buffalo Sabres. They get ready to take on the Senators tomorrow night in Ottawa. And with the win last night and other results around the league, the Sabres can clinch a playoff spot for the first time since the 2010-11 season with a win tomorrow night. The Sabres have also announced earlier today that they have signed 2023 second-round pick defenseman Maxim Strbek to his 3-year entry-level deal. Strbek had 18 points in 37 games this season with Michigan State. He is going to be reporting to Rochester. And for more on this, Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Around the rest of the NHL tonight, it's a very light night, just 3 games. 8:30, the Avs host Vancouver, and then 2 games at 9 o'clock. The Blues at the Kings and the Ducks at San Jose. While in baseball, the early afternoon games got underway. The Jays have fallen to the Rockies 2-1. The Mets are currently deadlocked at 1 with St. Louis in the 8th. And the Yankees, they just got underway against Seattle. That game is in the 2nd, and the Yankees are up 1-0. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Jordan Tyson right now is my number 28 overall player, so I think he's right in that striking distance of the Bills. My range comparisons for him go from Jacoby Myers to Keenan Allen. Like, he's that type of fluid, inside, outside, savvy route runner, but not going to give you much after the catch at all. Going to catch pretty much everything. Will make the difficult grabs. Will make the diving catches at his feet. Will not have a lot of drops, and is just not someone that you're going to push the ball vertically down the field with.
Chris Trapasso, just now. Check it out on the Odyssey app if you missed it. Heard there the Blue Jays lost in 10 to the Rockies today. They lost 2-3 at home to Colorado. Not great. In the middle innings, Guerrero was up. After last year, I told myself I am done criticizing Vladimir Guerrero Jr., period. Like, I just...
But that ends today.
No. But I did want to raise this real quick. He's up 1 out, 2nd and 3rd in a, I think, scoreless game. Maybe the 4th or 5th inning. And if the pitch is low and in, and he checks, he points to his dugout, challenge, it hit me. So they do, and it did. Hit him on the foot, grazed the foot, so he gets first. And I thought,
I'd rather have you
think I'd rather have Vladimir Guerrero. You know, he could still walk, but I think I want him up there hacking.
Yeah.
And so they did not score, and they lost 2-1.
It's all his fault then.
Somebody's going to say it. I'm not saying it because I'm done criticizing the best player.
But you're just,
one of the best players
you're
in
just
team
making
history.
sure we're aware that there is an opportunity to criticize him if we'd like.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds very subtly like criticizing him.
I love Guerrero. And a part of his greatness is his eye. Like, he's not his dad. You know, his dad swung at everything.
Yeah.
And he's disciplined, and he's great for that. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Hit a fly ball.
Right. Yeah, I don't need you standing on first base.
Okamoto, the new third baseman, struck out, and they didn't score in the inning. So, sorry. I did. You're right. That's fair. I did bring it up.
This is criticism adjacent, I think.
I guess.
Approximate. Criticism. I'll stop.
I guess.
Yeah.
Here's Chris with us. Hello, Chris.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for calling.
Hey, thank you. So I love the Sabres. I don't know if you guys already talked about this, but I'm a little nervous about them for the playoffs as far as nastiness. I don't know what the stats are as far as teams that are have a little rat in them or a little filthy, how much better they do. But I'm willing to bet it's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
I want to see them have more edge. I know they're 25th in hits taken and hits given, and they're 3rd in hits taken. And I just wonder what you guys think about that translating into the playoffs, and that's going to be a big problem. They just need more grit, and I know I saw the Tampa game. I was actually there. What a crazy game! But I know they answered the bell then. But can they do that for 4 rounds of a Stanley Cup playoff? Is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I don't know. That remains to be seen. I don't know where you find rat stats. So I mean,
Rats.
you're not hits are one measure, but, I think a very entry-level reaction to their hit stats might be, well, they're not chasing the play that often, and their opponent is, and therefore they're getting hit more because when you don't have the puck, you hit. But that's just, that's old and maybe not even exactly accurate anymore to explain the disparity in hitting they have. I don't think we're going to know until I think we'll decide once we watch it. I don't think I think maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that we were getting to a place where playoff hockey would not be as hard, as physical as it had been, and that swung back the other way. Like maybe when the Blues won is when the light went back on for me, like, wow, these guys are all big and they are just pounding people.
Certainly Florida.
And Florida was absolutely built in that mold. Tampa was also very big and very physical, and they still are. You tend to think about Kucherov and in previous years Stamkos and, all the skill they've got. But there's a lot of size and there's a lot of nasty there. And so, and Florida is absolutely a great, they have just worn teams down in the playoffs. I don't know that the Sabres, I think they tried to address it in the ways that they did at the deadline by adding Stanley. They are a big team, especially on the blue line. I mean, they've got a lot of size there, but it's not mean size. It's not physical size. It's not make you pay a price size. It's, more like just sort of wall you off and kill the play, which can be effective, but they get into a series where it's just everybody is finishing every check. I have no idea how they're going to respond to that. And whether or not they are even really prepared to do that themselves if they need to. Because every forward on that team going to be pounding people through the back walls? Probably not. That's not been who they are. So I don't think we know. I think it's a totally legitimate concern. I think the Sabres, again, their behavior at the deadline tells you to some extent they were concerned about it and tried to address it. And whether they did enough, really, that ultimately comes down to Stanley and Carrick, I guess, who unfortunately got
Did they lose him?
Pretty badly hurt yesterday. I've not heard an update on what that is, but that looked all day to me like a dislocated elbow or something. I did slow-mo through the fight.
When they were showing on the post-game show the belt being awarded to the player of the game, whoever it was, maybe Krebs that passed it. He mentioned Carrick, but he's not. He said he's not here.
Yeah,
he wasn't in the room.
Yeah, I mean, Lindy said a few things after the game. I hate to lose him. He said, complimenting he's doing such a good job for us on draws. He scored some big goals already.
5 goals.
The fighting, he just sort of fit right in. I hate to lose him, he said. Now, I don't know, that could have just been a short-term thing, but it might have been him saying he expects it to be bad. I don't know. Left arm injury, we'll see. More tomorrow. And I've not seen any more today to know. But the way looking at it, it's hard to tell him it's a big baggy jersey. But he's got that left arm extended. He's hanging on to Lee. And then he twists, and Lee ends up holding on to either his hand or the sleeve at the end of that, the same. And just he twisted him. And the arm looked like it bent in a very the wrong way as he was being thrown down to the ice. So,
well, look, I might be predictable on this, but I'm going to go the other way. Not to say that this is the caller's trap. I think that Sabre uniform makes you kind of assume that they're lightweights. Not because of the colors, because of the history. Because the Sabres have often been ratted, jerked, whatever the word is, physical. I hate that word, but you know what I mean. And so I think we might have a bias. I feel like they're plenty feisty. They are big, and I don't need them. I lost Carrick trying to avenge a hit. I just remember Malkin on Dahlin. Nobody had to punch out Malkin. They got a power play and they scored and they won. Like that's to me, that's how I want to do it. I think they're, what is the phrase always? Tough to play against. I mean, how are the Sabres not tough to play against? They're very tough to penetrate. And offensively, they're a problem. I mean, they're deep, and how Benson plays, how Malenstein plays, what Tuck can do, all of it. And last night they scored on their power play goals and won a 1-goal game. So I don't know. I haven't warmed to Stanley. I know what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. It's typical hockey, and we'll see what happens, but I don't think he's made them better. I think they're just sort of trying to acclimate him to the playoffs, and I think he's locked in, probably. And I don't know. I'm worried about.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that good.
Yeah.
So I had a team that couldn't lose, and I put a guy in who wasn't that good, and it kind of looks like that to me. But, he's tall, strong. Yeah, I choose not to worry about it.
And sadly, nowhere near this Mayfield when he hit Norris for a second time last night. He didn't hit him twice, but the second time Norris got hit up high in the head, and he sort of flipped out, and Stanley was going to the bench and was very late to get over there, because that is absolutely a guy you have Logan Stanley for. Like, Mayfield is Logan Stanley on the Islanders. He's 6'6" and moves like an aircraft carrier. But he's physical and mean and all that. So, and I thought for a moment he was actually going to push Mayfield into the penalty box. By the time he got there, the officials had Mayfield sort of corralled and were guiding him to the box. And then here comes Stanley sort of in late. And I thought he was actually going to just shove him right into the box, but he didn't. He probably would have gotten.
Is that a penalty?
Probably is.
We already got the worst of that. Norris got 4.
Yeah, they got.
What happened on that?
That's the thing about, nobody needed to do anything to Malkin. Somehow Anders Lee did not get a penalty for hitting Norris from behind headfirst into the glass. I mean, he didn't deserve more than a minor penalty for it. It wasn't, to me, 5 minutes in a game or anything like that. But he clearly saw a number on the back of the jersey and just hit him from behind. I don't know how that blew my mind that they reviewed that and ended up at no call.
Well, Norris almost lost it on the second one. I mean, he's bleeding from the mouth.
Yeah,
and he got 4 to Mayfield's 2. So I don't know. I don't want this team to lose to go off track trying to be something they're not.
I thought we were very close to having. I mean, I don't know what we would have done with it, but the fan base would have been enraged about officiating last night. Had they lost that game, because there was that, and there was something out just those 2 exchanges alone. The Sabres get shorthanded on the second one when you're like, really, and the first one no call at all, and Carrick gets hurt trying to answer for it. It was just like a very sort of welcome back to caring about the refs feeling, and fortunately they won and we were saved from that.
Great goal to win it. Thanks, Chris. Good subject. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 803-0550. This is WGR. A great moment that I was sad to miss earlier today here at the office. Bulldog got here first today. We can't access this studio anymore like we did for years to prepare, so we're in a conference room. And there's a book sitting right at my end of the table. Mike Vaccaro is going to come on the show next week, longtime baseball writer, New York Post, and wrote a book about the Yankees. So you can look forward to that. And I sit down and Bulldog says, "You don't even know the curling shot that I executed to slide that book to the perfect spot where you sit." Sorry, I missed it.
We got a conference table that maybe, I don't know, there's 6 to 8 chairs on each side. So, it's a fairly big. And I sit pretty close to one end, and you're all the way at the other end.
Yes, sorry.
And I
slide.
I remembered to put the book in my book bag today to bring it to you because I've had it for a couple of weeks and have enjoyed, thumbing through it, and sat down and took it out of the bag and just slid it to your spot.
This was it.
And it landed it was completely on the table, not hanging off, but like right at where you sit.
You should be at the Worlds this week.
It was a very effectively executed shot.
They're 2 hours behind. Dunstone's making a run, but they're in Ogden.
I see. Okay. I don't really know what any of that means.
The World Men's Curling Championships are in Ogden this week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can't win them all, right?
Yep.
You can't win them all.
It's where I'm supposed to say, "Where's Ogden, Mike?"
No, you're supposed to know where Ogden is.
Okay.
I think. There's only one Ogden.
You want me to say, "Oh, is that in Utah?"
Yeah. Then I can say, "Oh, the story is Utah, Frank." I mean, now I'm explaining jokes, and you can't win them all.
You don't worry, you'll get me. You just didn't get me today.
I didn't exactly know how to do a little bit of a time crunch.
Yeah.
Went for the time difference card there, the 2 hours. Then maybe you go like, "Where's that?" Didn't happen. Didn't work out.
Well, it's next. I think Next Wednesday, we'll talk to Mike Vaccaro about this book. He's been a columnist at the New York Post for over 20 years. Really, it's all about Steinbrenner and just the whole coming to be the Yankees and the way we viewed them in the 70s and right through.
The Sabres have hit 100 points. You're talking to your friends about how have they done this? What are they saying? What are you thinking is the right answer to this? How have the Sabres done it? 803-0550. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after sports. This is WGR.
Travel day today for the Buffalo Sabres. They get ready to take on the Senators tomorrow night in Ottawa. And thanks to the win last night and other results around the league, the Sabres can clinch a playoff spot for the first time since the 2010-11 season with a win tomorrow night. And earlier this afternoon, the Sabres also did announce that they have signed 2023 second-round pick defenseman Maxim Strbak to his 3-year entry-level deal. Strbak does have 18 points in 37 games this year with Michigan State. He is going to report to Rochester. And for more on this, Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Just 3 games across the rest of the NHL tonight. 8:30, the Avs host Vancouver, and then we've got 2 games at 9. The Blues at the Kings and the Ducks at San Jose. While in baseball, the Jays fall to the Rockies 2-1. The Mets are deadlocked at 1 apiece with St. Louis in the 10th inning, and the Yankees are up 1-0 on Seattle in the 4th. And then heads up, football fans, as Pittsburgh prepares to welcome the nation to the unofficial beginning of the football season. The celebration is going to begin the night before with an unforgettable invite-only night of music taking place Wednesday, April 22nd at the Rivers Casino Event Center featuring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Profit. Visit Odyssey.com/thenightbefore to enter now for your chance to win this national contest, and prizes include round-trip airfare, a 2-night hotel stay, and 2 tickets to the show. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
If you wrap foil around that, just like the little bit of the base part of the banana where the fruit is, wrap foil around that top and they will last longer.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Who needs your bananas to last longer, though?
Look, I don't want to go to the store every other day for bananas.
They're 8 cents each.
What the hell are you talking about? What is going on?
You're going to wrap them in foil?
They're better when they're just a little green. Yeah.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Too much work.
Not that much trouble, really.
Too much work.
Says the guy that's got a spreadsheet with 3,000 fantasy teams.
On WGR
Rude.
Sports Radio 550.
How big of a celebration will it be when the Sabres clinch? Is that champagne? What is that? I'm too.
We talked about this a little, and I mentioned how I said I was asked. I was doing a thing for the Sabres that I don't want to divulge anything about what it was, but anyway, I was in a room full of people who are
trying out for the team,
working for the Sabres, and I was asked that question: what is it going to be? You thought about the moment when they clinch, and I didn't. I remember saying, like, can you see? I'm making a face. Like, I don't know. I'm not really thinking about it, but now that it's here, it feels like tomorrow night would be really, really cool.
I bet it's not a big deal in the room, though.
I mean, I wonder, like, when they know they clinched, yeah, I don't know. I think for guys, I'm thinking about the caller who called us in the first hour of the show today, saying, I'm just so happy for guys that have been through it here for so long. Thompson is the O'Reilly trade. Tuck is the Eichel trade. Dahlin is first overall. Power is first overall. All the expectations that come with that, and they've never gotten anywhere. I mean, I think it's possible that they react in such a way that we're all kind of like, all right, just calm down. There's more to go. All you did was qualify for the playoffs, but I think the letting go of just being a doormat might be significant for those guys emotionally.
Well, a couple thoughts. It's a little bit out from the playoffs. So I think that helps the chances of it being a celebration if there are 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks from now to the playoffs.
Right.
So you can enjoy this.
It's not like you got a playoff game tomorrow.
Right. And I think if I'm right about this, I hope I am, that in baseball, you would get, whether it's playoffs or division, there is a celebration that comes with that. But then, it settles down and everybody talks about how they really haven't won anything yet. Right. And whatever the celebration is, if there is one with the Sabres, that's what they're all going to say.
It kind of freaks me out in baseball. It feels like this happens in baseball. Maybe it doesn't happen with every team every year. But I feel like I get way more out of a team than I expect for, like, winning a wild card series. Like the plastic is on the lockers and the ski goggles are out and the whole thing, and it's like
for every round.
You just won a 3-game series. What are we doing here, right? And so I don't expect that level of anything in their room, but
no cellophane.
I hope not. I guess, but they should feel really great about what they've accomplished. So I mean, what does that even say? I think they'll be maybe enough of a celebration that we'll be talking about it. And that in turn, like, look, man, like if you're out there and so scarred and marred by the drought, by both of these teams' extended playoff droughts, that you can't really, every time one of us says, I'll tell you what, I don't want to see Ottawa in the first round, like that makes you go, like, I don't feel that, but I understand it. And so that date, like whenever they clinch, I think may be more significant. Like I said, this room full of people who all are, working in some way for the organization. And I said, I don't know. I mean, I've just been assuming they're going to make it. The room made a sound when I said that. And this is like a week ago. Like they've been in great shape for a month.
Yeah,
maybe,
that's right.
And
At
so
least.
I think there's so much scar tissue that I think maybe I'm guilty of underestimating how significant the clinching moment may be for the fan base. Because like okay, now I know. They're really going to be in the playoffs. They can't collapse and miss anymore.
I am very curious about this now because the playoffs are not quickly, and then we'll get to calls here. Like the playoffs are not the goal anymore, and they're more a given than a goal. Like that's been
Right.
true for a long time. So, I mean, if they end up beating Ottawa and clinching tomorrow, well, they go to Washington, and they'll still probably have a slim lead in the division, and that game's just as big.
For that,
So
that's right.
But, if you play this out to its logical conclusion, there's never a celebration because you're probably, not necessarily, but you're probably going to the last game with something, whether it's conference or division or wild card, like some sort of stake there, or else then you never have that celebration. You never have that moment, and you probably want to have it. And I think they deserve to have it. But it might not be intuitive. If they beat Ottawa, oh, we did? We clinched? All right, well, what's next? That's maybe how they will react to that. I don't know. There's probably a protocol.
Yeah.
The same way that every NHL goal scored means that the players will, in line, just good little boys, walk down the bench and give the fist bumps no matter what happens on the play. There's probably a protocol where this is established. I just don't know it. When you clinch a playoff spot in the NHL, what comes? Maybe we all should know what that is, but I don't.
It's been so long. I don't.
Right.
I haven't paid attention to any of these teams clinching playoff spots in the last 14 years because who cares?
Who cares?
The
know.
players are going to get here. I'm going to watch, and that's great. So I don't know what happens. All I know is I think I missed. I think I missed on not. Whatever. I'm just being honest. That's how I feel. I haven't been nervous. I'm not worried, and I definitely feel like ever since Alex Tuck said, we're not just trying to get in. We're here to win this. We're trying to win the Stanley Cup. Like, yeah, that's right.
It's when you don't touch the trophy when you win the Campbell Conference.
That's how you should be thinking, and I'm going to think that way too. Go, don't just get in. You're good. You can make noise in these playoffs, like maybe a lot of noise. So I haven't been that focused on the clinch date, but that doesn't mean it's insignificant to the fan base. I think there's going to be a lot of exhaling whenever they get it. If they get it tomorrow night, great.
We should celebrate.
Yeah, for sure.
If not the players.
Right.
Here's Eric with us. Hi, Eric.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, thank you.
No, I just speaking in general about the turnaround, and longtime fan of both of these franchises, man. I'm mid-40s, and I've sat through so many years like everybody else. I'm happy we're going to break the streak and get the Sabres back into the playoffs, so I'm going to have a beer and celebrate it. But at the same token, earlier in the year, I was at the Chicago game where we kind of ran them out of the arena. It was 9-3, 9-4, something like that. And we'd score 3 goals, they'd score 1 goal. We'd score 2 goals, they'd score 1 goal, and it was just this little bit of back and forth. But they kept taking minutes off, and they were sailing, and you could see them cruising through the neutral zone, and they weren't skating hard on every play. And I just remember letting loose. I'm not going to say I was too far deep, but I remember having 3 or 4 beers, and I just remember letting loose and screaming at them about keep skating hard, keep being consistent. And I don't take credit for anything, but I know I was being heard. There was people around me laughing. You know, it's funny because a hockey game is different than a football game in my eyes. And I think there was a point where everybody either heard it, bought in. Lindy looked at him and was like, you hear that guy 8 rows behind you, like screaming like a moron? You know, like if he can see it, how can you guys not see the inconsistency? And I think we've just been playing more consistent, playing together every shift, everybody skating hard. And I know it sounds corny as hell, man, but I think that's been the difference in this team is, you know, on TV, you can only see certain things. You can only see what the camera shows you. But when I was sitting there, my personal perspective was there was people who were cruising at certain times, and we were up 3 goals. Then all of a sudden, bam, Chicago got. I blew Chicago, I believe, not Calgary. But
it's not Chicago because they lost to Chicago. But
no, they blew Chicago at 9-3 here back in November.
Yeah, I was pretty certain it was Chicago.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah, and we've become that team where we're skating for all 3 periods, and everybody's skating every shift. And I give the guys credit. I give Lindy credit.
I don't think it sounds cornball at all. I don't think it sounds corny at all, Eric. I think there's a lot of – I mean, I said mostly the same thing without the – I wasn't sitting 8 rows behind them yelling at them. But the playing good defense, which has been absolutely – like the whole team, right, hard to play against, is not – I mean, it can be having guys with sharp elbows and pointy sticks and being mean in the corners and knowing where to spear guys when the refs aren't looking and all that kind of crap. But it also is a commitment, whoever is on the ice, to never quitting on a play and always coming back to defend, which is not always an easy thing to do. I mean, it can be fatiguing, and that level of buy-in, not wanting to let one another down, is absolutely the thing. They're the same guys. It was the same guys that were in last place. And then they started being committed to playing that way. And, I mean, it's not all of it. You still need the skill and the talent to make the plays and score the goals. And the goalie's got to make some save. But their commitment overall to defense is the thing that's different about this team from Don Granato's team. Don Granato's team could score, maybe even at 5-on-5, better than this team is scoring right now. But they
consistently good for years.
They could not defend at all. I mean, they just didn't have it. And what was missing was that level of commit. It's effort and wanting to do it, feeling like you need to do it.
And saves.
Right.
That, I guess, goes without saying, but
I did say you got to get the goalie to make saves.
Okay, sorry.
You need the skill and the talent to make the plays, score the goals, and make the saves. But in between, you got to have the nuts to want to play that hard defensively.
It especially went without saying because you had just said it.
Correct.
It really didn't need to be said by me. Brian is next. Hello.
Hi, guys. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, so right before Christmas, Sunday night, the Sabres were in New Jersey, and we had the opportunity to go down, take a trip to the city with the kids, and then, lo and behold, we got tickets for like $25. Beautiful building, the Rock, and the Bills just happened to beat the Browns that day. It was really fun being on the road, yelling, cheering your team on, and then we had one jerk behind us that he's like, you guys are so pathetic, Buffalo, that you go to a Sabres game, have nothing to cheer about except go Bills after a goal. And it was great because his wife or fiance or girlfriend or whoever she was lit him up, saying that she liked Josh Allen. She feels sorry for Bills fans. She feels sorry for Sabres fans. And I just wonder what's going through that guy's head today, knowing that the Sabres are making the playoffs and his team is hitting the links like the Leafs. And it was just really awesome being on the road and hanging out with other Sabres fans and hanging out, and everybody's showing off their jerseys, the Anderchucks, the McGillneys. And then there's my 16-year-old kid who's never experienced this in her life. And Schopp, I think your kid's like roughly the same age. So this is wild for them. You know, when I grew up, I mean, it was the Sabres Bruins, Sabres Canadians, and then 93 happens, and it's like, okay, we went from sweep to swept. So I'm just excited for my kids to be able to experience this playoff run. And I don't know what to expect come playoff time because you have some really good teams getting in this year, but the excitement is back, and everyone's like, oh, you guys are bandwagons. Well, no, we weren't bandwagons. We just went in hibernation for the last 14 years. And this is a rabid hockey market, and I just cannot wait for April 21st to come around. I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, Brian. Thank you. My kids are a little older, but I do feel like I'm a little bit on the bandwagon. We could parse that at some point. Just like what says that you are or you aren't. I have lived here my entire life. I mean, I've gone to hundreds of games and rooted for them since I can remember, but not when they got bad. Like the last 10 years, I've kind of turned my back on it. I don't feel like, I mean, I talked about this yesterday, whether it was Zucker or Greenway or just different decisions they made with the roster. Malenstein, like who's that? And Timmins and like whatever. My feeling about it all was just reset it. Just keep resetting it until you get it right. But they have been, to say the very least, rewarded for what they did do, keeping players together, keeping the team together. And I was way wrong on that. I don't feel like I have any claim to this season. Like I'm going to games. I'm going to enjoy it. I think I have the right to do that like anybody else. But I feel a little bit like I'm on the bandwagon. Because I'm not driving to Jersey to watch them play in December. That building is so big, by the way.
Oh, really?
Jersey. Oh,
yeah.
It's fine. It's
huge. I don't know. I don't. I think we have all had such a unique experience having a team in this sport be out of it for as long as they were. It's just so uncommon for a team to be down that bad for that long and go through so many different iterations of the rebuild. And they're like, okay, we got the guy, now we got, oh my God, when? That I'm not into gatekeeping at all about the whole thing. I mean, I had my own thresholds. I know that where I was at different times with this team. Even 3, 4, 5 years ago, I'd rather go watch my kid practice with the Regals than sit in front of the TV and watch a Sabres game. I got to that point. Am I supposed to feel bad that I'm enjoying this now? No, screw you. You've cared all along, whether you were paying attention for your own mental health or not. That's not for me to judge. I'm assuming if you live here and have cared about them the whole time, you cared on some level about them. You just stopped watching because it was driving you insane. So I'm not inclined to put up a sign that says, like, you must have watched this many games per year. So I don't care. They're awesome. The scene is awesome again. And I don't know. I'm not asking for sheriff's cards at the door. I don't care.
Tony's next. Hi, Tony.
Hey, guys, I tell you, I'm part of that. I've been in Louisiana since the 90s, and I kind of lost touch with the Sabres after, the Hasek and all that. But I'm Darlene effect guy. I bought the package. I've been watching every game since Darlene. But, man, I have suffered. But I want to go back to what y'all were talking about. Is it a bigger surprise that Allen came out or the Sabres this year? I'm going to tell you what. We were kind of itching on calling Allen, like EJ or Trent Edwards. Maybe not quite. But that Miami game he had that year and the Rams game and all of that, I think now the bigger question with the Sabres emergence is I think it's more likely that the Sabres win the Cup than the Bills win the Lombardi. And I want to say this, Bulldog, you keep talking about that Dallas Stars game on New Year's Eve. I was at that game in Dallas because I'm in Shreveport. It's like 3 hours away.
Yep.
And that's the same feeling I got. I'm like, this team is real. They're for real. So I'm excited about it. I think, it's funny. My son and I laugh about, through the bad years, like 5 years ago, we're getting up off the couch for a Jeff Skinner goal even more than we are this year for, Thompson or Quinn or something, because I think this team is good. We expect it, but I don't know. I think we're in a better place with our hockey team than our football team, and maybe Brady can change that. Let's hope, right? But I love it. I think go Sabres, go Bills.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, Tony. Nice to hear from you in Shreveport.
Wouldn't the Bills be, I'm trying to find it, but yeah, here it is. Plus 1,000 to win the Super Bowl, the Bills, 10-1. I thought it might be shorter than that. Sabres are 7-1 today. No, sorry. That's to win the East. 14-1 are the Sabres Cup odds.
So a little bit longer, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, parsing through Allen, it was not a popular draft pick when it was made. But I don't know. I never felt like that it couldn't work. So I don't know. My level of surprise, am I surprised he's the best player in the league? Sure. Because you just would never expect to draft the guy that's going to become the best player in the league. Like I can't tell you that, but it always to me had a chance to work. You know, one of the tenets of the NFL draft that we talk about a lot in this room, the point you make, like nobody knows, so they pick that guy and maybe that'll work. Okay, like I remember the day after that draft, sitting here with you, like if nobody knows, why is everybody so mad? I don't understand. If nobody knows, why are you so sure that this is a terrible idea? And just trying to push back on that, because I think if one thing is true, then the other has to be as well. So I still think this is the most surprising thing. It's certainly in my broadcast career, and that feels like my life at this point. I mean, it's 30 years. So I just never saw this season coming. I thought in the offseason when some of the numbers people were like, right on the line, 94, 95 points. The decor is really good. Kesselring will really work. There was some support in the analytics community for the Sabres to have a drought-breaking season.
Because they've been, as you referenced earlier, I think this is a lot of it, really good 5-on-5 goal differential, expected goals
year over year. Yeah,
they had the hard part maybe mostly right, but then goaltending, no luck, and special teams power play last year was a downfall.
So and then you add in that it started the way it did, and they're in last place, and it looks like the fans are chanting for Adams to go. The building is half empty. I mean, it just did not. It felt like another year on the pile of the previous 14, and then it just wasn't that anymore. That is a lightning strike.
There's also, you can only go so far comparing it. You knew that if Allen did hit, you'd be good. There's one thing you pretty much needed to accomplish as a football organization, and that's to find a great quarterback. And they did that, and they've been great ever since, even though not all parts of them are great. Mm-hmm. So that's like the cheat code and makes it a different comparison than a hockey team. And a lot of what you're saying is that this team was mostly established going into this season, and then to start the season, like why would you have expected them to just win every night the rest of the year almost? 39 of their last 46 games they have points in. Like, just how could you have expected that?
Right.
And that's different than just, if you will, lucking into a great quarterback. Also on the Allen point, I like how you're talking. Like, why should we rule out the possibility that he'll be great? I wouldn't have wanted to rule it out. And they also really, the process was okay. They did trade up twice to get him, but for a quarterback, you can kind of live with that for as desperate as they've been for so long to have one, like as opposed to, say, trading up for Watkins. Because you could have said the same logic.
Yeah.
Well, why couldn't this work? How do we know? Whatever.
Yeah.
But the process was different, and I think more respectable this time. And, of course, it did hit, and look at them since. But this one is kind of really out of nowhere. I always think of the comment E.J. Radick made on this show a couple of weeks ago, how his perspective on it is, I always liked the Sabres roster for a couple of years. He wasn't floored by this. He said they just had to figure out that they had to play every night like it was opening night and realize you're not the Lightning, you're not the Avalanche. You're not a team that can just win because of who you are. You have to be above that. Really, really sharp, I thought, from EJ, NHL Network. 803-0550 for your thoughts. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after the update. This is WGR.
Buffalo Sabres as they head to Ottawa. They're going to take on the Senators tomorrow night. And thanks to the win yesterday and other results around the league, the Sabres can clinch a playoff spot tomorrow for the first time since 2010-11 season with a win against the Senators. And then earlier today, Sabres did announce they have signed 2023 second-round pick defenseman Maxim Strbak to a 3-year entry-level deal. Strbak did have 18 points in 37 games this season with Michigan State. He's going to report to Rochester. And for more on this, Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. We've just got 3 games tonight across the NHL. 8:30, the Avs host Vancouver. Then 2 games at 9, Blues at the Kings and the Ducks at San Jose. While in baseball, we had some early afternoon first pitches. We've already got some games wrapped up. The Jays fall to the Rockies 2-1, while the Mets go down in 11 to the Cardinals, also by a score of 2-1. And the Yankees are currently underway against Seattle. That game is in the 6th inning, and the Yankees do hold a 4-0 lead. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I think ever since we've kind of moved that power play over to the other side and operated off of that side, it's opened up tighter opportunities for Tomer. The downhill goal by Quinney was a good goal. There's just different places that Thompson can get to, and I thought he got to a good spot. You put him in a spot like that with his wrist shot, and he's as good as it comes at scoring. So I thought our power play looked good.
Lindy Ruff last night. The Sabres now lead the Lightning in the race in the Atlantic Division by 2 points. Tampa with 1 game in hand left. Tampa wins on ties.
Well, we've got a game left. The Sabres have. I think the Sabres are.
Is it head-to-head?
Yeah, I think that's the first.
So they've won 2 out of 3.
Right. I think. Well, no, regulation wins.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So, are they tied in that?
The Sabres have 1 more.
They have 1 more. Okay.
So what if they end up tied in regulation wins and Tampa wins the game here, so they're tied head-to-head?
I don't know what the hell happens. Is there
Rochambeau?
The NFL during their season has at ESPN.com. There is a tie, the tiebreakers are there for you. Like they sort of lay them out. I've never gone looking for them in hockey, so I honestly, here's another thing. I'm out of shape. I don't know. I don't know what happens. I really don't. I do think it's right that regulation wins is the tie. Once you're at all on equal games, I mean, for now, if you're tied in points, the team that's played fewer games is ahead of you because of points percentage. They have the same amount of points in fewer games, thus a better percentage. But once you've all played the same number of games, I think it's regulation wins, and then I don't know.
I'd like to be able to trust this. So on the NHL app, 3 teams are tied with 86 points. Just out.
Okay.
Ottawa, Detroit, and Philadelphia. Ottawa has 38 wins. Detroit has 39, but Ottawa is listed first. It's not alphabetical. Regulation wins, however, Ottawa 32, Detroit 28, Philadelphia 23. I mean, that's embarrassing.
Yep.
And there's also a column for regulation plus overtime wins.
Right.
And similar to overall wins, Detroit has more than Ottawa. So in 3 categories, we don't have head-to-head, but in 3 categories, Ottawa has the lead in only 1 over Detroit, and that is regulation wins.
And
they're listed first
yes.
of the 3 teams.
Okay.
So the Sabres have 38 regulation wins, and the Lightning have 37. Maybe the second tiebreaker could be regulation plus overtime, in which case Buffalo has 41 and Tampa has 42. Well, I guess it's still not time for that.
It's getting close, though.
It's getting close.
It's good to have.
It's not too early to bring it up.
Good to at least be thinking about that. I don't know if that definitively tells us what the tiebreakers are, but that's a good clue. I think regulation wins, I think, is right.
Probably it. Frank is next. Hello, Frank.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.
I got 2 questions. Well, kind of one question in the statement. I'll make it quick. I hate when people talk for 5 minutes about nothing. One, I think, to me at least, it's super clear that the Zach Metza, Timmins experience seems like it should be over. I mean, he comes back and is just far and away, obviously, visibly better than any other guy we've had in the sixth pair. And they put him on the penalty kill, and he looked good. So I think it should just be, at this point, finding whoever his sixth guy is. I don't know what your guys' opinion is on that. And then the other statement is, I just wanted to give some gas to my boy Dan Dunleavy. No one's ever going to be RJ. He's the best ever. And when RJ first retired, I was like, oh, this sucks. No one's RJ. But now I think that Dan's gotten so good. When I watch other teams, I'm bored. I think Dan is amazing. I just wanted to give him his credit. But that's
Very
it.
good.
Thanks, guys.
I'm totally here for that. I'm a big fan. I like Dan personally, so that, of course, would shade this. But I think, objectively speaking, he does a real nice job on the call. So also, and I think it's a very tough spot to be thrust into. I mean, I can remember thinking about Rick, stepping aside 20 years ago, and we went through this with Van Miller too, when Van was going to step aside. You don't want to be the guy that succeeds the guy. Be the guy after that guy, because the guy that succeeds the guy, the legend, the living legend, I mean, that's just, the fans are just going to take it out on him. And I think Dan has largely avoided that. I think. I mean, I'm not on message boards or anything, but I think he does a nice job. So good for him, and I don't think it was the easiest place to end up, following such a big, just monster personality like Rick.
No doubt. I don't think their sixth defenseman, if we're saying Metza is 5, is really up for debate.
I think it's Stanley.
Me too. They brought him in to be that.
The question is who Stanley is going to be paired with. That almost makes him the fifth guy. I feel like, thinking about the call earlier today about the playoffs and physicality, and do I have enough of that? Stanley, and I think Lindy Ruff is 100% on board with this. At least that's my read from out here, how he has sounded about it. They felt they needed another guy that could just be hard in front of the net, hard in the corners, and just not easily bounced around. So he's playing, to me. The trick to me has been to find the best partner for him. And I do think it is Metza. And I think what they did, it was a pretty short stint for Timmins. Metza went away and is right back, and even got the look on the penalty kill last night, and that seemed like it went okay. I don't want to say anything definitive, but to me, Stanley's in the lineup. It's a question of whether it's Metza or Timmins or even Kesselring. Maybe these guys will get a turn in place of Metza at some point. I mean, Timmins just did. Maybe Kesselring will. I don't think Schenn really will. I think they tried that and went okay, you're here, good, you're valuable as of that. You've won cups, thank you. Just stay over there for now. I would bet right now, I mean, it's definitely trending towards Metza and Stanley being that third pair when the playoffs begin.
Seems like it. Thank you, Frank. 803-0550 to join us. You could be next. Just missed, maybe you didn't miss it. I didn't miss it because you were talking.
I didn't see anything.
We had a review.
Here. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I missed it.
The batter was right. The Mariners batter was right. Instead of strike 2, it went to ball 1. In this 6th inning at bat with 1 out on April 1st, the Mariners down 4-0 with no one on. Thank God. I mean,
now I'm going to really hang on this to see what happens.
I guess I could be called a hater about this, and everybody's having fun at one particular umpire's expense the last few days, CB Buckner.
Yeah, missed a play at first base last night now.
The managers literally were laughing, looking at each other after this play was overturned. It was a weird play, and there was an overthrow from the second baseman over the head of the first baseman coming some kind of toward the on-deck circle, and the batter, the base runner, clearly just ran right on first base.
Stepped on first base, but Buckner thought he did not. And
when they tagged him,
what happened? They tagged him and called him out, and then they reviewed it and he stepped right on the base.
Did you see the managers?
I did not see.
They were just trying to repress laughter, looking at each other. The camera went back and forth.
And this Buckner's the same guy that at home plate in the Reds game the other night was he had back-to-back calls that were just off the plate. He called strike 3s, and they were both balls.
Driving in today, there were so many games to choose from, And at one point, I was on that game. It was Tampa-Milwaukee was the play from last night. So I was listening to Tampa-Milwaukee, and the announcer, probably the Brewers announcer, said that Buckner had the plate. That makes sense because he was the first base umpire last night, that play.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, almost as soon as he said that, here's the pitch. Foul tip right on his face, like right into his face mask.
Yeah.
And he left the game today.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I saw a headline. I didn't connect it that was the same guy that's been in the middle of these couple of days worth of reviews.
They sent another umpire into the clubhouse to get the gear on.
Wow.
And the Brewers, I think it was, whatever team was in the field, left the field to give. How much time does that take, though? How much time does the third base umpire need to put the chest protector on? Is it a different? Well, the mask too. Do you put on like shin guards, all of it?
Yeah,
I guess so.
There's
take the clothes off.
Yeah.
Take the pants off. Put the guards on, the shin guards on. Put the chest protector on. The mask. You gotta find that clicker.
I guess it's a process. Yeah.
You gotta find your clicker.
It needs a few minutes. Sure.
Few minutes.
Yeah.
So that happened to Buckner today. He's having a tough week.
I hope he's okay.
He's having a tough week.
Yes, he is.
He's sort of the focus of the ABS system. Like, look at this guy. He's long had a reputation for missing.
Right.
You know, kind of like maybe not on the Angel Hernandez level.
Right. He's
since retired, I think. Or is that quote retired? I don't know what happened there. I don't think he's in the game anymore. But then Buckner just goes and gets a foul ball right on the mask today. Poor guy. Anyway, 4-0 Yankees. The guy who got the call overturned grounded out. Didn't help him. Didn't save him.
Time well spent.
Yes. But they do get to keep the challenge, so we have a pretty good chance of seeing another one.
Woo. Well, stay tuned, sports fans.
Balls and strikes in the 5th game of the baseball season.
I almost don't care how efficient and accurate the system is, how non-time consuming it may be. The whole concept is just going to make me insane, I think. I really do. And I think baseball, if you don't like tinkering, baseball maybe has driven you nuts here for a couple of years because there's been stuff like the pitch clock and the shift. But I think most of that stuff has had, as a viewer, as a watcher of baseball, I think it's had a positive impact on me. I think I like the changes that have been made. I think they mostly have worked for me as a viewer. This one, I've not sat and just watched a whole game yet. I happened to be watching this thing with the Reds guy and Buckner the other day.
This is Boston.
It just happened to see it, and I'm like, oh. But I wasn't like sitting with the game for an hour or 2 hours or anything. So I don't know that it's going to, but my sense is I'm going to not like it.
The only thing I like about it is that there is strategy in it. Is this pitch important enough for me to risk the challenge? Like I like that. I like that in sports, but I'm not going to hate this one more than certain other advents, quote, progress in reviews and technology. It's all a step toward the abyss. And each time, and I don't think people even recognize it, sucks the life out of sports.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Because you cannot really confidently buy that the thing that you just saw is going to hold up. And that's a soccer goal, quintessentially a soccer goal. I mean, but it's now it's a ball in the 6th inning of a Mariners game.
In April.
Yep. Like, it's just ridiculous.
It's hockey goals. Yeah, it's
offside challenges.
Yep.
All of it needs to die, and it frustrates me, and I know you, how quiet our side of that argument seems to always be.
There are plays every night. There was a play last night that looked like it could have been offside. Sabres, third period, going into the zone. Well, that was close. They got a scoring chance, and I was like, I hope don't score here.
Don't score.
I'm like waiting for the puck to come out of the zone again.
Yeah.
Before I can sort of reinvest in sort of with a clear mind, like, okay, go score a goal now. It's safe. And I just could not hate that more.
Would you rather the Sabres finish with 109 points but lose in an overtime playoff game on an offside challenge, or finish with 80 points? Would you rather have finished 12th in the East, or lose a playoff series on a review? Not even offside. Goalie would be worse.
The goalie interference.
Yeah. Offside, at least you're usually sure.
Right. Goalie interference is like
goalie interference.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, there have been. Yeah, I mean, every team probably has this. The Sabres, both pro and con, goals that they've been given and goals that have been pulled down. That I am positive. Often watching the game with someone who was a goalie, okay, not in the NHL, but still, like, you know, we're kind of goalie defenders a bit, and like we have no idea what I don't know. I thought his skates in there. There
was a goal in Pittsburgh. Remember the Sabres won a game in Pittsburgh out of the break, and the goal stood.
Yes,
Norris was involved in it, the Penguin coach. You could read his lips. He's over there like, how?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the goalie's glove extended out beyond the paint, and therefore, if it was interfered with, it's okay, is what people were saying. And I'm like, okay. What? So there's a halo around the net now, like the cone in football that extends straight up to the roof of the building. And if his glove is outside of that, even though the rest of his body is in the crease, he's not in the crease. What?
Are we sure about that?
What are we doing?
That's.
Holy
the Sabres
crap.
could have just went and stayed bad and saved yourself the potential aggravation.
Right.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. We'll be right back. This is WGR.
Hey, man, Bulldog here for Window Nation. You know,
Back to hockey after sports coming up, just after the 6 o'clock update. Sal on yesterday, we talked about whether listening to an audiobook can be described as reading a book. And he put a poll up and tagged me because it was maybe my question. And, I mean, so many responses, a lot of hostility. A lot of book people, apparently, really condescend to the audiobook people.
I got that. I didn't go hard at it, but I saw a couple of replies.
It doesn't feel like readers, like avid readers, though, would have that attitude, to stereotype somewhat, as I'm doing. Like, so if you're like an avid reader, you're like a book guy, you're really going to condescend to the audiobook people? A lot of comparisons to like when a teacher reads to you and you're a child. I don't know. It's just a different, consume the book. People use that word, but it's just a different way of doing that, which for me is a lot more convenient. Maybe there's people that haven't really just tapped into audiobooks. They're listening to us in the car instead of listening to the Warren Report, 34 Hours, or Matthew Collar's book about PFF, or any other book. I bought a Howard Cosell book because he narrated it.
Oh, I mean, there you go.
Just 2 hours of Howard Cosell talking.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. I said yesterday, like I like reading. I've been very lazy about it, and I don't like this about myself. But I've never done the audiobook thing, and I'm not I think if you consume the material and it has some impact on you, right? Like, oh wow, then you remember, oh, this story, this is really good. Then I think you've read it. I mean, it's the same. You've got the information, but it's not something I like myself.
Back after sports. Stay tuned.
It is travel day today for the Buffalo Sabres as they get ready to take on the Ottawa Senators tomorrow night in Ottawa. And thanks to the win last night and other results around the league, the Sabres can clinch a playoff spot for the first time since the 2010-11 season with a win tomorrow against the Senators. Earlier today, the Sabres did also announce they have signed 2023 second-round pick defenseman Maxim Strbak to his 3-year entry-level deal. Strbak had 18 points in 37 games this season with Michigan State. He is going to report to Rochester, and for more on this, our own Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Just 3 games tonight across the rest of the NHL. 8:30, the Avs host Vancouver, and then we've got 2 games at 9. Blues at the Kings and the Ducks at San Jose. While in baseball, Blue Jays fell to the Rockies 2-1, and the Mets also go down 2-1. They do, though, in extra innings in the 11th against St. Louis and the Yankees. They are currently up 4-0 on Seattle. That game is in the 7th inning. Then heads up, football fans, as Pittsburgh prepares to welcome the nation to the unofficial beginning of the football season. The celebration will begin the night before with an unforgettable invite-only night of music taking place Wednesday, April 22nd at the Rivers Casino Event Center featuring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Profit. Visit Odyssey.com/thenightbefore to enter now for your chance to win this national contest. Prizes include round-trip airfare, a 2-night hotel stay, and 2 tickets to the show. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for West New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I don't think that's a very good attitude.
It's Mike Schopp.
You don't think? You don't think? I don't think you should be butting in when I'm talking to my team. You're my assistant, okay? You're supposed to back me up and go get me juice boxes when I tell you. Now go get me a juice box. You know who you're talking to.
It's the Bulldog.
I'm talking to the juice box guy. You're crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm just thirsty. Why don't you go to hell? No, you go to hell. While you're there, why don't you grab me a juice box? I'm no juice box boy, I'll tell you that. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you
It's
are.
Mike
I'm not.
Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
I've been meaning to ask you about Josh Norris for like a week. I wonder if you think he is passing the eye test. Because what I'm reading about his numbers is actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
He's not scoring as much.
Right.
But producing, chances, points.
Mm-hmm.
He's having a different kind of,
Yeah.
this is Chad DiDomenicis, I think, among others.
Yep.
Effect.
It's been like a job. Yeah, I think mostly. I mean this as a compliment. Led by Chad, it's been like a Josh Norris week. I
Okay.
think, with the fan base.
I think that's good instincts. I mean, because
Yep.
for a while, there are times when I wonder, like, all right, where's Josh Norris in this game?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there are high expectations. But do you think he's doing well?
I do. I think the pass to Thompson last night may have looked like nothing, but it was super sneaky, subtle. It almost looked like a continuation of this is how Owen and I were talking about it while watching the game. It looked like a continuation. It almost looked like he lost the puck off his stick while he was stick handling. He didn't throw it in there hard. He was just like left to right, and then it was just there. And it was just like sneaky right where it could be, where the guy below Thompson couldn't reach it, the guy above him. There was a very small window there where that puck could get through. It almost always is with that guy in the, what is it they call it, the bumper spot in the power play configuration. The guy in the middle. It's a tight squeeze because everyone's trying to keep you from getting there. And I just thought it was a super savvy play by him. Yeah. Even though it didn't look, he didn't sauce it over there and like it landed right. But it was just vision and execution and subtlety. Yeah, I mean, I think I think he's playing fine. Would I like more goals? Sure, but the line has been really good, and I think it's it's pretty important that he stay. I mean, when he gets hit face first into the glass last night, and I'm thinking right away concussion, which, for him might be better than the shoulder. I mean, no, I'm not making fun of head injuries. It's just like he's had, shoulder problems. It's derailed his career, really, to this point. I was so relieved to see him back out for the third period when he came out, because I think he matters so much to the overall here. Like their 4-line depth. I mean, now Carrick is out. That's another challenge, because that was really nice with that fourth line since he got there. But at least the top 3 lines being dangerous, to me, completely goes away if Norris isn't there. They don't have that high-end skating, playmaking. I mean, they just don't. With no Kulik on the horizon, they'd be really stuck. So it's part of the reason why I thought it made sense to go fishing for Robert Thomas, like Jarmo Kekalainen was reportedly doing in the days leading up to the trade deadline, because it's kind of the same reasoning Ottawa had for divesting themselves of Norris last year at the trade deadline. We're going to the playoffs. Can we count on you? And whether they were going to include Norris in the deal or not, at least Thomas would be another piece that, like, you've got insurance here, a really high-end insurance policy. I think he matters a lot to their. Like, if he goes out, I feel like your 5-on-5 is going to take a big hit. As magic as that 4DR and everything about them, I just think he is a really important piece to this team. And I do think he's playing. I think he's playing well. He's a part of the reason they are. When there's pockets in games where they are just in charge, and he's, to me, right in the middle of that.
He was drafted by San Jose, Norris.
I did not know that.
Traded in the Erik Karlsson trade when Karlsson, maybe that's when he first left Ottawa. Probably was when he was traded to San Jose.
Yep.
In 2018. Also on Norris, his father played in the league. Dwayne Norris. Know him?
No. At least not top of mind.
He played 2 seasons briefly. He's probably mostly a minor league player with Quebec, and then one with the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
Oh, all right.
3 games for Anaheim.
Yep. Done.
Went to Michigan State. Norris went to Michigan.
Right.
Ooh. Dwayne Norris is from St. John's, and Joshua Norris was born in Michigan. Joshua. I said Joshua that time because that's what I'm on Hockey Reference, and they call him Joshua.
Does that line up because the dad was playing like in the minor leagues in Grand Rapids or something, maybe, or something like that?
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Michigan State.
Yeah, I already said it all. He matters a lot, and I think it's fair to want more goals. I mean, he's been a goal scorer mostly.
35 1 year.
There's a lot of what I think Chad covered in going deep on it, is that it's uncommon for him to be reverting into. It's not really his calling card to be becoming setup guy, but I mean, goals are goals. So just keep producing. I think what they've done with the power play the last couple of games, Quinn being added in, I mean, he scores. I mean, what a shot.
That guy.
That is get out of your seat shot by Quinn. But he's new to power play 1 now. He'd been on the other unit mostly, so he's there. And Thompson is down, kind of like you saw him in the Olympics. He's below the goal line, and he's in his regular spot. And then he scores this goal from the bumper last night. This is good to get him moving around. I've been saying for a little while here, like, they're so dynamic, or can be so dynamic at 5-on-5, the way they move around the zone so freely, all 5 players, D or wings or centers, whatever, interchangeable. And the power play often is just kind of, I'm over here, you're over there. And
yes,
it needs to be more fluid, and I think that's starting to happen a little bit last couple games.
Ottawa, pressure's on. They've lost 3 in a row. 2 in regulation. I mean, they're down 5-0 to Florida last night.
Poor, I mean, Ullmark, holy cow. I mean, he's had so, I mean, it's not been an easy year for Linus Ullmark, and now to be at this point of the year, with everything that's happened with him, to go into a game where you've already lost a couple in a row and you're starting to run out of runway, and I mean, it's just everything's going in. Tough night. I mean, I
play tomorrow?
Do not envy him. I don't know. I don't know what they do with him. I wonder how he is doing. I mean, it's just everything you get. It makes you question everything.
Who is there now? Reimer.
Right.
There's someone else.
Reimer, and is it Sogard still? Maybe is a guy who's played games for them this year. I can't remember.
Marillinen,
Yeah,
20 games.
Don't know.
Sogard, 2 games.
Okay, then no.
2 games.
Yeah, that's not the guy who was. Well, I mean, I was definitely thinking of him, but he's not the answer.
This happened a few times, last night included, where you wonder what the Sabres are going to get in goal from their opponent. Last night, Islanders do go back to Sorokin. We'll see, and he was fine. We'll see about the Senators tomorrow. Here's the rest of it. So, Sabres have 7 left. By the way, before I get out of Ottawa here, tomorrow is their first of 5 in a row at home. And they are 2 points out with a game in hand on Columbus. So they're still right there.
Yep.
But there is separation now from the first wild card to the second and down. Boston is the first wild card, 6 up on the second. And there are 4 teams within 3 points of the second spot that are out. So Boston's probably feeling pretty good. Montreal has to be. Sabres have to be. Tampa. Pittsburgh's kind of rolling now.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh is in Tampa tomorrow.
Let's go Penguins. Go.
Here's the rest for the Lightning.
Go get 'em.
They have the extra game. Here it is. Penguins tomorrow night, and then Boston on Saturday at 5 in Tampa. That's the end of their 7-game homestand. Penguins, Bruins.
That's not easy.
Then they're here on Monday and in Ottawa the next night. At Montreal next Thursday. Then at Boston next Saturday, 12:30. So your next 2 Saturdays, you have Bruins, Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Home to Detroit, home to the Rangers. That's hard.
I think that's hard. That is hard. Boston twice is hard. Montreal again. Montreal just got them last night, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
2-1 late. They were facing 6-on-4, and they survived it and won. 4. They might have got to 4-1.
Yeah, I think 4-1 was the final. That's what I saw. So, yeah, that's a grind for them. It's such a good race. It's a race I didn't even, I've had pretty, I don't overdo it here, but I was pretty early, like New Year's Eve. Okay, this seems good. Like, what are you going to do with it? And I did not at all see them going on the rest of the tear that they've gone on since the 10-game win streak. It's been kind of incredible, but I've been pretty comfortable with them, getting a spot. Then it got to be like, okay, well, maybe third, go for third. And then that just turned into the top of the division like that. I just did not expect them to be in that battle, but they're there. And, they're not exactly in charge. They've got the 2-point lead, and Tampa's got the 1 extra game to play. But still, it's just a tremendous job. I hope they can hold on to it. It's not a disaster if they don't, but, man, to have had it now in your hands here for more than a week or even longer than that, I'd like to see them get it home.
Carolina has 100 points, same as Buffalo. Also 1 more game, like the Lightning. They have 1 game in hand on the Sabres.
Right.
Columbus tomorrow night. They beat Columbus last night in Columbus, so home and home. That's tomorrow. Then Islanders at Carolina Saturday. What you get when it's so many teams that are so close. Every game sounds like right. 2 teams that are right next to each other.
Yep.
At Ottawa on Sunday. This is Carolina. Home to Boston Tuesday, then 4 on the road. At Chicago, at Utah, at Philadelphia, at the Islanders.
How is it that we've got all this going on? Like the playoff races are so great, and they got all these games being jammed in because of the Olympic break, and it's just that I've got a night with 3 games that nothing begins until 8:30, and none of them feature any Eastern Conference teams. What are you doing? I mean, I know it's buildings and it's the schedule and whatever, but like, there's been a lot of this, right? Then we have the Sabres were the only game some night ago, or one of only 2 games, and then there's like 15 games the next night. You just spread it out, for God's sake. What are you doing? I can't believe I'm so into this race that they're in, and I don't know what I'm going to do without a game to watch when I get home tonight. There's nothing there. How do I not have Boston playing somebody tonight or something? Like, come on.
Yeah, mix it up.
Jeez.
You can watch Guardians Dodgers. We get that channel. We get the Cleveland.
Okay.
I watched that last night.
If there's a ball game that is starting when we get home, then that's good, because that's probably where I'll end up.
This is 8:20.
Because I know, okay, that's also bad. Like, again, baseball, same thing. You were talking about when I first got here. How many afternoon games were there today?
Like 13.
Okay.
None yesterday.
None yesterday, and there's no game at 7 o'clock. This isn't that hard. What are you doing to me? Just give me something.
No ADP chasing tonight. That was last night.
I mean,
you couldn't watch it last night because of hockey.
I was getting to that.
We talked about the Nordiques.
You talked about the Nordiques on your fantasy football podcast?
Yes. There are 4 of us. I'm here, hockey. Jacob Sanderson is in Vancouver, hockey. Leafs fan. Like, flies to Toronto for their big games.
Wow. All right.
Davis Maddock likes everything, and he follows hockey closely. He follows a little bit, but he's fun to play with when it comes to hockey. And Corain knows nothing. Born and raised in Brooklyn. He's just like, he says, I never tapped into it, Pat. So we can't even, like, when it comes up, it's a bit. Because Pat will just, he wants to leave the room. When hockey is the subject, he wants to leave the room. I have nothing, literally no insight at all. You could tell me names of teams, I'm not even sure they're real. So that's been fun to sort of tap back into. And Davis shows up last night in a blue Nordiques jersey. And this is on YouTube. You can watch it. It's that good. You might want to see it for yourself. He says, he or Jacob asked, who was the all-time Nordique? And the names were like Claude Lemieux, who I don't ever know played for the Nordiques. He played for the Avs.
Right. That's a terrible. Even if he played
it can't be
a
him.
Little bit there, it's a terrible answer.
He's not the answer.
Right.
Davis mentioned Joe Sakic. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
He had his AI thing going. He also mentioned Mark Tardif from when they entered the NHL, like the Real Cloutier era for the Nordiques. And that can't be right.
Right.
And they're talking, and I'm sitting at my bar, and it's a mess right now. I've got cards everywhere. And I see a pile of hockey cards. I pick it up. I look, like, there's Peter Stastny. Show it to the camera. Here, it should have been card of the day. Here's your answer. And he's like, oh. David's like, oh, is that maybe Paul Stastny's father? I think so. But, bad question. Paul Stastny is Peter Stastny's son.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
Those go one way.
Right.
Unless they're both unless it's like the Griffeys. No,
Yeah.
that's not even a good example. The Griffeys go one way.
Right.
Ken Griffey is Junior's dad.
That's right.
In a sports context at
Yes,
least.
that's right. That's right. Paul Stastny is a nice player, had a nice career, but no, the old man is the kingpin of that conversation.
Yeah, and then it was...
How respectable an answer is Michel Goulet for that?
Very.
Okay, because that's the first guy I thought of.
Very respectable.
I would not try to wedge my personal favorite in there, who's Owen Nolan. I love Owen Nolan, and he first played with the Nordique, was part of those teams. I don't know if he ever went to Colorado. He might have been dealt
Sharks
before they got to Colorado. Anyway, so I don't remember him wearing that uniform, but I might be wrong. I think maybe San Jose, by the time they got to Colorado. But Goulet, I think, is a very respectable choice there.
Oh, when that guy scored against us, that Goulet.
Yep.
Oh. That's the sound. That's the Nordique sound. Oh. When it came to the Sabres. Oh. That Brent Ashton goal.
Some scars never heal. Or some wounds never heal.
5-3 lead in the third in the deciding game at Le Colisée. Lost. Mm-hmm. Oh. That does not get mentioned often enough up for the heartbreaks on the heartbreak list. That Quebec series.
What year is that?
85? Yeah. 85 or 6. I think it's 85 because the 86 they bottom out. It's Turgeon. Right? The Sabres go to the bottom.
Right. Yeah, Turgeon is the first pick of the 87 draft.
Yeah. 84-85, 5-gamer against the Nordiques. They lose the first 2 there. They win the next 2 at home. Remember Andrechuk hitting. Maybe he scored only once. I don't know, but he had highlights in those 2 games in the odd where they bounced back and tied the series, and they go to Quebec 6-5. Oh, Nordiques. Now I'm mad that Davis wore that shirt. 3-1 lead. Lindy. Gilbert. Then 3-3, end of first. 3-1 up in the Goulet, and then 3 Sabre goals. Mm-hmm. Ruff, Perro. Ruff 2 assists on the Perro goals. Lindy had 4 points in this game. One and 3. Sealing scores the only goal of the second from Ruff and Perro, like the only line that could do anything, apparently. Housley early in the third, 5-3. 11 minutes into the third period, 5-3.
That's a bad beat.
That was a tough loss. Well, on that happy note, Wednesdays, Chris Trapasso. Now we're into April. The draft is April 23rd, or the start of it is anyway. We talked about some different names potentially being on the Bills' radar and other draft subjects. Top of the draft. The bottom of the draft also came up. What the Seahawks might have in mind at pick 32. Chris Trapasso, draftguidebook.com. Our conversation with him is coming your way next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog Sabres Senators tomorrow night on WGR.